slows down.
What?
I think that music starts off at a certain like beat per minute, and then it just I don't know.
You think it slows down? I told you I don't like the music. I want new music.
I don't know.
We need a musician in our midst. If you like the music, like and subscribe. If you hate it, like and subscribe.
Wow, that was
well sneak it in there.
Well done.
I felt like that was kind of pushed in there.
Well, I'm sure we'll hear about it at some point.
So this is full 42. We talk about board games and geek stuff, and not so much geek stuff this time because some people haven't caught up to all the cool geek stuff lately.
No, because there's so many cool geek things that I haven't watched that I need to catch up on first.
Katya, our honorary co-host.
I did see the thing that you have been waiting to talk to me about with Rebels.
Yes.
We'll talk about that later. Yeah.
Yes. So, okay. Yeah, we won't spoil anything, but you finished season 2 of Rebels.
Yes.
Which took you like a year.
Not a year.
Almost a year. I've been waiting almost a year for you to get to that point.
Because there's so many other things, right? Loki was in the way, and then Cap, and then there's so much stuff. Yeah, I know it's about time.
It is about time, yes.
But yeah, there's been a lot of. It's been a great past decade and a half to be into this culture.
I mean, ever since Disney took on Star Wars and Marvel,
sure.
Like Disney or not, we've gotten so much great stuff.
Yep.
And some stuff that you could say wasn't that great, but hey, we at least got it, right?
Sure.
Better than nothing, which is what we had before that.
Yeah. But it's hard to keep up on everything, right? Like, I want to watch Titans. I want to watch... I need to catch up on Bad Batch. There's so many things to watch. It's hard to...
You need to see Harley Quinn?
Correct. I need to see Harley Quinn. I need to see a bunch of the DC animated stuff that I haven't watched yet.
Yep.
4 I haven't seen.
What'd you say?
Wonder Woman.
Oh, part 2? You don't need to see that.
I know I don't need to, but I still want to. So we can
That's fine. Yeah, I wouldn't discourage you from it. It's just,
I think you just did.
See it? Well, I wouldn't tell you not to see it. I just said you didn't need to see it.
Sure.
Yeah. I at the same time kind of wish I didn't say that because I don't want to. I went into it kind of a little hopeful. Like when you see a sequel, you kind of think, okay, it won't be as good as the normal one, but maybe it'll be like, a little bit less than that. But I was very disappointed because it was so much the other way. But yeah, you haven't seen the new Suicide Squad yet, right?
No, bring it out. Let's get it all out on the table.
Yeah.
Let's
you haven't seen Black Widow yet, which is that's hard.
Not yet.
Definitely see that before Wonder Woman 2. I mean, come on.
Well, sure, yeah, I would do that.
But that's fine. That's fine. Life happens.
Is that it? You're not going to throw anything else at me that I haven't seen?
I'm not trying to trash you for not seeing stuff. Not everybody's seen everything.
Okay.
Why? What am I missing?
No, nothing. I thought maybe if I opened up the floodgate, you'd be like this and this and that and this.
No, I don't want to pile on.
Okay.
I want you to see these things because I know that you'll love them.
Yes.
So and then I want to talk about them with you, right? Especially on the show. So,
yes.
So yeah, hopefully you'll find a little relaxing time to enjoy that stuff. Although I know you got a convention coming up.
Yep.
You're trying to get ready for. So.
Yep.
I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah, it's some collection of buddies or something.
Oh no, I was talking about the one behind you, but you're right.
Oh, that's November. Yeah, I've been planning on going with that.
Right.
I did get something cool today.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
we have a sponsor, the Grand Gamers Guild. Oh, I just knocked Yoda off the microphone. Thank God it's not on camera.
No.
They sponsored our lanyards for QSCon, and they came in today. So
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
What do they do? What's the Grand Gamers Guild?
Um, the Artemis Project.
That sounds familiar. What is
They have
that?
a Kickstarter coming up with the Artemis Odyssey, I think is the next one.
Hmm.
Yeah. And then there's another one. I saw somebody post. I must have missed it on Kickstarter, but I want to say it's Alabast. Had a really wicked cover with a lion. Looks awesome. The art's stellar. But there
Cool.
are other things that's not just. But that's the one that they would be most known for. The designer Daniel is coming to QSCon, and Mark reached out, who runs the Grand Gamers Guild, and expressed interest, and they are a sponsor and made these sweet lanyards.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. Oh, Garinto.
Oh, Garinto. Oh, we just played that this weekend at our game group. I did. It was on the other table. I was in Eclipse. Anyway,
we'll be talking about that later when we talk about what we've been playing.
About that later. Yeah. Oh, okay. The co-publishing. Yeah, that was a good game. I played that in at BGG when it had just gotten out to everybody.
Yeah,
BGG.com. Yeah,
I like the first one, and I still have it, but I'm curious to see what they did to the second one. The art looks stellar. They
you have it, but you haven't played it.
I haven't played the second one.
What a great segue into talking about
the actual topic of today.
What was that?
The topic of today?
Yeah. Well, somewhat. I mean, part of what I put as the title was Kickstarter and backer expectations, right? So at some point in the discussion, we're going to be talking about pricing and shipping and all that stuff. You know, pretty much everything everybody else is talking about. I saw, I don't know if I should call him out. I watched a video today that was complaining about the prices on Kickstarter. And, you know, they're only going to go up than what they are now. But they were mostly complaining about deluxeified editions making the hobby too expensive, you know. That kind of stuff, you know, we know that's going to go up in price soon, right? Has to, because you have to factor in the shipping, which is ridiculous and probably not going to change.
Which is really costing. I mean, it's a full circle of cost, right? It's not only just, man, we're spending a lot more on containers to get stuff over here, so we're gonna have to jack up the MSRP on something. Like it's more than that, because now the components, like the stuff in games, is now being delayed. So like entire factories are out of cardboard. So like it's a mess. It's a trickle down. Like drop a pebble in a pond, and the ripples it's massive what's going on.
The problem is like the material issues and the delays, and so, you know, like wood went up really high and plastic and all that stuff. All of that stuff should eventually kind of calm down. I don't think the shipping containers will, because these shipping container companies found out that Apple doesn't care about paying $25,000 for a case to take, you know, whatever fits in there, 100,000 iPads. You know, that's nothing to them. Instead of what, like $3,000 a case, $4,000 a case, not a case, container. It doesn't phase the rest of the world's markets. And so there's no reason for the shipping companies to drive those prices back down. Unless there's some kind of heavy, what do you call it, like competition between those companies, but I don't know how monopolized those companies are, right?
Yeah, I think the next step is that it's getting so out of hand that at some point it's going to get regulated, which isn't, I'm not advocating for it. I don't think it's a good idea, but I think like if the government the next step is some government needs to step in, because then it's just either we find another factory or like it's like the timeline in Loki. Like one little thing is going to change so many things.
Right. But the board game industry is so small that the impact that's going to have on us is going to be so large, but the impact it has on the bigger markets,
Mm,
it's still going to be heavy. But like an iPad, instead of being $800, is going to be at $820 or something like
mhm.
that.
Sure.
People aren't going to see that. They're not going to complain as much.
Yep.
Sales won't drop as much. So the big companies aren't going to push for this kind of thing. Board game companies, on the other hand, we don't have that kind of pool to ask for that kind of change. So I don't think it's going to change. I think we're just going to have to adapt.
I also don't know if it's that much of an increase, right? I think it might, at least for now, I think it might be like a $5 jump. Like you're going to see MSRP of 40 go to 45 or 50 go to 55 to help kind of subsidize the 25K that a 40 GP container is pulling in. Maybe not 25, roundabout estimate.
Right. And, it's a little weird because what I think it's actually going to hurt more is the board game distribution and retail way more than Kickstarter,
Sure.
because Kickstarter margins are higher,
Sure.
right?
Mhm.
You're selling directly to the backer at MSRP, or a little bit lower than MSRP usually. And so, but if you sell to distributors, you're selling at 40 to 50% to what it is, depending on mass market or,
Right.
game shops and stuff.
Right.
So those margins are going to be hurt so badly
Sure.
that I could see MSRP in shops and stores going up farther than Kickstarter.
Which is even more of a stranglehold on your FLGS because unfortunately I've seen it happen where you're in a store and people are looking up the prices on other places to see if they can get it cheaper. Like just support your if at any point now is the time to support those stores, because those that have made it through the past year and a half, 18 months, whatever, which is the same thing, but you know what I mean. Those that have made it through are struggling, not only for staff and people working, but they're just struggling. So get out there and support them. Stop trying to save $1, like free shipping, whatever it is. Get out there and support them.
Well, I would say if it's a store that you think they're doing it right and all that stuff, support them. If you don't think they're doing it right, talk to them, tell them what you think.
Sure.
Don't tell them like, let me tell you how to do your job, but say, hey, I have these needs as
Yep.
a consumer and stuff. And but I mean, like, there's one, I actually don't even know if it's around anymore because I haven't been there in years, but there's one that I wouldn't support because they don't care.
Right.
They're just like kind of grandfathered in. They get their money from the comic book sales that they have just going like this. They don't care about they don't ask you how you're doing when you come in. They don't care at all.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. I'd rather them kind of just go away and let the better stores that are around gather their people, right?
They'll find a way. I mean, that'll kind of work itself out, right? There's a shop. I love my local store, and I love my local store for one reason. But there's a shop in Rochester that every time I've gone there, like the people are engaging that work there. They look happy to be there. And man, they can talk to you about what you want to talk about. Whether they're like, they have it internally where like, look, if that shopper goes over there, then you need to go because you know that shit. And if that shopper goes over there, you go. But man, every time I've gone in, like they know their shit. They know what's coming out. They know the kind of games. Like they're just, and in addition to the store being well organized and clean, they're happy to be there. And that makes such a huge difference. Yep.
Millennium?
Yep.
The store I'm talking about that I was like, I wouldn't support. One of the last interactions I had, I asked, hey, have you heard anything about this board game? And the guy behind the counter who owns the place turned to me and was like, I don't play board games. Half his store is board games.
Oh, come on. Are you serious?
I know. So, some like old white dude that's, set in his ways or whatever. But yeah, so I was like, okay, whatever. And not only that, but they marked their board game prices up 25% above MSRP. So
no, that's dumb. That's dumb.
Actual MSRP. I'm not talking like Amazon MSRP, but
Yeah.
Like when I know this game is $60 MSRP from the publisher and they've got it for like 85, I'm like, nah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Support the ones that you want to see around. Don't support the ones that are shit because they're around the corner or whatever. Let them go away.
Michael brought up, so I'd actually kind of disagree to a degree, obviously. The problem is that even though prices for shipping containers are like ridiculous, it's still cheaper to manufacture by far.
Sure.
Manufacture in China, and it will be. I hear people say stuff like that all the time, like, "Oh, maybe we should start manufacturing in the U.S." It's still way too expensive, way, way, way too. It's not even close.
There's still other options. Not everybody manufactures in China.
It's true. I mean, Ludofact is in Germany,
right?
And they've been an option for a while. They have certain. Well, actually, I hadn't talked to them in years, so I don't know where they are on stuff. So I don't want to say one thing or the other about them. And I believe there's a few other. Is it like the Philippines or something like that? Has like one or two. I can't remember where now, but there's a reason why all the manufacturing is going on in China and is staying in China.
Sure.
At least for now.
But I mean, you're talking about a $20,000 to $25,000 increase, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm not saying go out and get a shipping company or start a manufacturing company in Texas. I'm just saying, if that doesn't start to come down, people will find other options.
Well, the cost of living in the U.S. is too high.
Sure.
I mean, unless you're advocating, which I don't think anybody is, advocating that you get, illegals and pay them under the table amounts that, that's the only way you could do it. And nobody should do that. That's evil stuff. So you can't do it in the U.S., not in a real way that we are operating in this hobby, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's actually something that's interesting. People have talked about Mexico, and it's really weird that we don't do that for all kinds of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we do for some stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but my guess is that there's some kind of trade issues and embargoes and whatnot in between there, because you would think, because cost of living is so much lower in Mexico, that we're not. I mean, you're more into logistics than I am, so you probably know these things a little bit better than I do. I just don't think that we're going to do anything to change it. The people that say stuff like, "Oh, I just won't buy the more expensive games and stuff," all you're doing is just not supporting the hobby at that point.
Sure.
And that's fine if you can't afford to do it. It's a hobby, right? It's not a necessity.
Nope.
Like I said, I watched a video where someone was complaining about deluxeified games and stuff. He had a whole bunch of games behind him like I do. And I was like,
yeah.
You don't need any of that. You don't need the deluxeified, but you also don't need any of it.
Yep.
It's all just
but it's weird, right? Like, it's not, I mean, we're lucky enough to be in a hobby that's fun, right? But it's across the board. Like, remember the toilet paper shortage, the paper towel shortage, the hand soap shortage, I'm trying to get t-shirts made for a convention, and there's a t-shirt shortage. And I don't know if it's a t-shirt shortage or the damn ink, because you can't get the right color t-shirt because that's out of stock. Like, everything is starting, like, it's across the board. It's not just the shipping, the container, and how, oh my God, it went up like 20,000. Like, I get it. But like $20,000 in a year is it's a pretty massive increase. And when you talk about getting the right container with the right size box, and you can get 10,000 units on the box or on the container of that certain thing, sure, then break it down. Shipping is about $2 a unit. But then when you're selling that at 40% and 50%, reduced from MSRP to wholesaler or whatever it is, like, and plus the art, plus the components, plus what you're putting into it, I mean, the margin, it's got to increase. Like, meat goes up, soda goes up, alcohol goes up, like, it's all going to start going up. And if it comes back down, I don't know. I'd be surprised if the next year it comes down.
Yeah. I think Cuddy is saying it better than you, but I'm just messing.
Of course, I ramble and I don't even know what I'm talking
about. Yeah, like I said, I think some of this will come down, material costs and stuff like that, but I don't see why shipping would. I mean, I'm sure there's all kinds of aspects to that industry that I don't know about, right? But
sure.
As far as I can tell, like you would think, let's say there's, I don't know, 5 major companies and you're number 5, you're not 1, 2, 3, 4, but you're the 5th one. You would think that there'd be some, everybody's charging 25K. Well, I'm charging 19. Everybody would rush, right? And then of course they'd have to charge 18 and it would get back down to normal. But since we're not seeing that, it's making me think, is there just a monopoly on these things?
I don't know how it works on that end. I feel like there's one company. They have all the hotels and houses on every fucking monopoly piece, and they're just charging what they like. I landed on the port, so I got to spend 8 times whatever the thing is because you have 4 hotels. Like whatever it is, they're doing whatever they want.
And that's what I'm saying is it feels like there's a monopoly, and it feels like the major businesses and industries aren't feeling that increase hurt so badly that they're going to do anything about it.
No, the last container that I had moving, or that I asked to get moving, which is moving shortly, the initial quote came in at 28. I had 2, 28, 29. And then I got one down to, it was 17. And then we have to pay to unload it because we're going to floor load it, whatever. And it was like another 5,000 for the charges. So it was 23. But when I push back, I'm like, yeah, there's another one coming. Like, is there anything if we book 2 at the same time? And the one person I was emailing came back. I just got a quote for someone for 14 containers, no discount. They paid full price on all 14 containers they were putting on that ship. And it's like, you would think like 14 containers. Hey, here's $50. Go to Amazon. Like, what can you go buy yourself some Starbucks coffees? Like nothing. Full price for all 14 of them. Like not even.
Wow.
Yeah. And the hope was like, you might be able to save a couple hundred on the loading because they're already there anyway. And they were like, not to make it like little, but like the max you might be able to save if you're booking 2 is like $200, $300. I'm like, well, even that is helpful. But man, when they came back with like, yeah, just one company, 14 containers, full price for every one of them. It's like, wow, they can just do whatever they want.
Yeah, at least it feels that way, right? That's what eventually happened. No, the issues, demand high, supply is low. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, COVID shutting down all that area is.
Yep.
So,
well, and
yeah,
right?
I just think once things open up, they have no reason to drop the prices back down.
Sure.
At least it feels that way.
Yeah. I mean,
I'd be happy to be wrong.
Yeah.
Until then, I know a lot of games are just kind of being held back. Some games it doesn't, like, it's not cost effective to actually ship them. So like printers are being asked to like keep the games in their warehouses and stuff.
Yep. Which is amazing because the manufacturer, well, at least the one I'm familiar with, is not a warehouse. Like they manufacture and push things to where they need to go, but like, sure, they have a couple hundred copies of something just sitting there because where are we going to put it?
Well, it's probably cheaper to store them there for, I don't know, 6 months to see if the prices go down, or, even if they don't have a warehouse, it's probably cheaper at a warehouse there.
Yep.
Yeah, I hope I'm wrong too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, that's the whole point of inflation. At some point, things don't go all the way back down, right? And that happens over and over. I like the start of this. I agree with Chris.
No, get that off the screen. Never agree with Chris. Right, I get it. Like, why would they? Right, people, and unless somebody comes in, like Chris was saying, and is like, yeah, like you're paying all these ridiculous prices. We can get it to you for 10 because whatever. Well, then sure, yeah, like maybe other people will start like, all right, well, we need to do a thing like cell phones, right? Cell phones are like ridiculous amount of money, but then like all these inclusive plans come out at like $30, $35, $40 a month with unlimited everything. Well, shit, everybody else started like, we can do it for 29. We can do it for 28. Like, maybe that's what happens, but it's going to take someone to just go all out and be like, this is what we're doing. And I don't know how all of that works.
Yeah, and well, the problem with that is if, let's say, you're the fifth business and you're not as high up, right? And you go, I'm going to make it half on the cost. I'll make it 10K instead of 20K. Well, what happens is number one just buys you out.
Yep.
Now they don't have to compete with those prices again.
Have you ever looked at the world map of ships? Like big vessels traveling from. Oh, it's fascinating.
That's like a map, or you're talking about a static map, or like one that's showing the ships moving as they're
like current location of all the vessels on the sea.
Huh? No.
Yeah, you would think like there are 5 companies that are controlling all this shit. I don't think there's way more.
And then I'm using 5 as an example.
Sure. There's so many ships on like traveling on the water currently. It's pretty crazy.
And yet none of my games that I want to be on those ships are on them.
Yeah, or they're stuck, right? I've been trying to get beginning of July, I booked 4 pallets. 4 just pallets, not even a ship, just 4 pallets to get directly to an Amazon warehouse. And it was due the 13th, got delayed. It was sitting in port on the west, got delayed, was due to be somewhere the 13th, got delayed, was due somewhere yesterday. That's a month and a half of 4 pallets trying to get across. Like, it's bonkers.
So if prices do need to go up for board games, right? Let's say 6 months from now, shipping isn't better. Eventually, publishers are going to have to start selling their games, and they're going to have to bump them up a little bit. Mm-hmm. So like Gateway Games, Ticket to Ride is what, $40, 35? Well, it's probably $40, right?
I would
on the shelf. So Gateway Games, stuff like that, you think maybe go up to 50? Are they going to start going up so high that they no longer become Gateway? Is this what's going to slow down the golden age of board games, basically?
No. I don't.
You think we'll adapt well for it, or?
I think there are other games coming in now. Like if you go to Target and you look at the stuff that's just recently come out, like the Gargoyles game and the Aliens game and the Summer Camp, and
I have a question about that, but we'll let you finish it.
They're all coming in at a really decent price point. And I haven't opened up Gargoyles yet. Where is it? It's right here. But I've seen some pictures of it, and I was shocked at what was in the game. Like terrain, 3D, like that game with the buildings, but like well done. I was shocked at that. Like the Tetris game, for the quality that's there for $20, like that kind of stuff will always be there. I don't know if it's going to have what the hobbyist wants, which is the wooden meeples, the minis, the realistic resources, the linen cards. Like, it's not at that point. I don't think it's going to have that. But the hobbyist is looking for more than your $20 Target Gateway game, right?
That's true. So you think Gateway games will pretty much stay the same, or it like grow even more, maybe because the margins are lower, right? Whereas maybe the bigger deluxe games are going to have a harder time.
I don't know if I would say a harder time, right? Like, look at Descent. Descent MSRP is $170, and man, there are pictures. People are buying it. Like,
yeah, but that's a giant box, right?
Yeah, but the stuff in it is not, which is one of the complaints. Like, that box is convenient for what's in it, but it's big. But it's not big because it has a lot of stuff in it. The bottom,
maybe they're planning a lot of expansion stuff,
which is fine. I'm kind of nervous because it does say Act 1 on the box. So what the hell is Act 2 going to do?
Right.
But the bottom part of the box is hollow, and it's to house the 3D terrain, so you don't have to constantly take apart the trees and put them back together.
I don't mind that.
No, it's smart. I think it's great. Yeah. Keep putting the cardboard together. But I mean, you're talking maybe 2/3 of the box, maybe a little bit less, is just a hollow bottom for that stuff.
Are you saying that? So you're saying that the what's in the box is not worth 170?
No, I think, well, comparably, I think it's more expensive than some with the same amount of stuff.
Hmm.
But I think they jacked up the price because of whatever reasons, and they're getting it. It's not like people are. I mean, when I was in the store when I picked up my copy, the gentleman that I was talking to about it was, well, I need to put it on the wish list. Like that's how we talked about it. Like I had just played it Tuesday. I think it's worth it. I'm not a big app and board games fan, but I think they do a really good job with some of the interface of the app. But we had a conversation of it. Jason came in and we were talking about what we were playing, how we felt, what was a little bit wrong with it. And he's like, I got to put it on the wish list with the wife. I'm like, that's great. Like, I'm not trying to sell it to you, but I think the 170 is kind of a little off-putting because of, like, that's $170, right? That's three $60 board games, basically. Which you think of, like, when you think of a regular 12-inch box board game like Ticket to Ride or Arkham Horror, you think $60. Like, if it's a $60 MSRP, it's probably where it's going to land. That's 3 of them.
Yeah. And it has a limited campaign set?
For now, yeah.
I mean, right. They could expand it, but I mean, the $170 that you got, how many games are in that?
I don't know. We only played the intro scenario, which took us about 3 hours.
Well, was 3 hours too long for intro scenario?
It wasn't 3 hours of straight gameplay. There were a lot of questions, a couple piss breaks.
Questions as in, like, you had to look in the rule books, look in forums and stuff like that to know how things work?
It was all, I believe, I know Luke might have played it before. I thought we were all really diving into it for the first time, which I think extended it more than it should have been. It probably would have been a 2-hour camp, maybe 2 hour. Maybe
that would worry me as an intro that I have to keep looking rules up. Or is it just like you couldn't remember, or is it that you didn't know what to do when you got to certain parts?
The rule book was not read. I think a video was watched, and then we were running through the app because the intro scenario was telling you what to do.
Gotcha.
So,
all right. So that's not the game's fault as much. No. You know, should be reading a rule book, right?
No, I don't think the game. I don't think there's nothing currently, from what I've experienced, I don't think there's anything wrong with the game. I think the price point might be a little elevated, but it comes with a decent amount of minis. I mean, there's 6 starting characters, a bunch of baddies. The terrain is nice. Like, it's elevated, right? There's steps and there's columns to elevate the next level. Like, it's got a good amount of stuff in it. It's just, and my point is, I don't think it's suffering from the elevated price. So if gateway games are going to go from 40 to 45 to help supplement these costs, I don't think that's going to have that much of an impact. Right? Because look at what Kickstarter's doing.
Okay, but Descent has a name behind it, right?
Well, Fantasy Flight.
Well, I don't mean that. I mean, Descent's been around. This isn't the first Descent game.
Oh, sure, but it's not even Descent 3rd edition. Like, there's Descent, like the big box Descent. Then there's 2nd edition, and it's still kind of the same designer and all that stuff. Like, this is a completely different foray into...
Right, but what I mean is, like, it has an audience already.
Sure.
Whereas if somebody tried to sell that as, you know, Questeria or whatever it is, just made up something, put it in a giant box that's at $170, might not do as well.
I will disagree. Look at Iridia.
Iridia has name behind it. Zaya. Drift system.
Oh, yeah, I guess when you put it on there, yeah. But it's the same person, different game, right? What you're saying would be...
Well, yeah, definitely a different game. But, I mean, it's done by the same people and with the same kind of painted figures and stuff like that and all that, yeah. But, I mean, it's not just someone out the gate trying to do it. No. I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you. I'm just saying it's not apples to apples saying that all games will be okay, because Descent has a a history behind it that people are latching onto.
Sure. I think that definitely helps. Maybe that was part of the conversation. Like, look, we can charge an extra $20 because it's got a fan base. Sure.
Sometimes you just pay for that,
Sure.
for that brand name or whatever it is, theme, right?
And I'm sure it wasn't cheap to get the app integrated. Like the UI of the app is good. It's the way that it works. It works. There's just some stuff when you're playing that didn't come across clearly in the rule book when we were looking at it. So we had a couple questions with that, and I don't know.
So back to my question that I had whenever you're talking about Target games. You mentioned Gargoyles. I was in Target a few days ago. I saw Gargoyles look great. Had to pick it up and look at it. And I noticed it was Ravensburger, right? Or Ravensburger. Probably Ravensburger. Anyway,
Ravensburger.
In any case, it was that. And I noticed right below them, they had the Princess Bride in the same box. Like you could tell they used the same box cut and everything. And then I saw something else. I can't remember what it was, but it was another IP. Ravensburger. All three of them.
The alien game. Aliens?
Yeah, Aliens. Yeah. And that's Ravensburger too, right? So I was like, man, what's going on over there? Yep. IP. But interestingly, they didn't have the designers' names on those boxes. Do you know why?
Contract. I know a designer friend had a fight to get his name on a box with another company. They just don't do it. Some companies don't do it.
But that originated in Germany. And Ravensburger's a German company, isn't it? Or at least European. I think it's German, but
I want to say yes.
I don't know. I'll have to go and look to see if they've done it before, but I just thought it was weird that it's not even in the back.
Yeah, same thing. The Golden Ticket game by Buffalo doesn't have the designer on it. It's on the instruction book. It's not on the box.
BGG says that Nate Hess or Heiss is the designer. So at least they have it in BGG.
Sure. Well, yeah, I guess.
Ravensburg, yeah. I just thought it was weird. I don't not crazy about that. I think a big company like Ravensburger could afford to put the designer's name on the box, even if it's in the back. I was like, okay, maybe. It's a gorgeous looking cover, right? So I thought, maybe they were trying to preserve the cover. Let me flip, even though they take up like 15% of it with their logo. Flipped it over. It's still not in the back. They had the illustrator's name, but not the designer. I thought that was Will.
Yeah, that's interesting. And Corey brings up a good point. The Tetris game doesn't have. I can't read it from here, but it doesn't have Phil's name on it either.
And that's weird because he is a name that sells games, right?
Yeah.
If you know his name and you know his work, you're like, ooh.
Sure.
I don't know. Strange. Hope that's not like something other publishers tend to do. If anything, I prefer the when they put the illustrator and developer and designer on the front or something like that. At least names that have a little bit of weight and tell you like, oh, okay, these people knew what they were doing. I like seeing credit. If they don't all end up on the front, at least put them in the back, right?
Yeah, I agree. I was looking at the side of the Tetris box. It actually has the original Tetris designer. Like Tetris was designed by somebody, but they don't have the game. The Phil's name is not on the box. But like
that's said, some kind of IP thing.
Yeah, it has to be.
Intellectual property.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, like Corey said.
Yeah.
I don't
know. I was curious about that. If you'd heard anything about it, or
no, I think it's. I think it might be IP. Like, I don't know if it's in the contract that says, "Look, we'll let you have the Tetris license, but you can't put the designer's name on the box." Like that just seems like a weird line to cross. But
I'm looking at the new Castles of Burgundy box, and it's got Feld's name on it.
Yeah, but that's not a licensed IP.
So you think it's because it's an IP?
Oh yeah. Well, which I guess I could contradict myself because the Batman game, our name is on the front and the back.
Right.
So I mean, it could just be company. I don't know. I don't know what does it.
Well, Horrified doesn't have an IP, and there's no. That's Ravensburger, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's another company that made it for Ravensburger.
Is it? They're the only publisher list. Oh, it's Prospero Hall
that
did the designer.
Right.
I think so. And that's a different thing.
Look up Funkoverse.
That's not. Which one? Just a strategy game?
Any one of them.
Prospero Hall, yeah.
No designer, right?
Right. Well, Prospero Hall
right.
famously doesn't give names of the designers, right?
Right.
Which is kind of weird, but okay.
Yeah, it's a collective.
Yeah. It just means that I don't know what I'm getting.
Sure.
I think what it means is I'm getting something that's not going to be broken or bad, but it might also not be great because I've, designed by committee sounds bad to me. I don't know.
Sure, but what is that because you're an experienced gamer and know to look for Phil Walker Harding's name on a box? Or are you someone who's walking into Target, ooh, Alien, ooh, gargoyles, and just grabbing it because I remember that cartoon? You don't care if it's Alan Moon or Phil or anyone, right? You're just grabbing it because it's the IP.
Right. No. That's fine. That, like, I understand sometimes if you're doing some kind of style or something, you're like, we don't want to put names and stuff on the front. Let's just put it on the back or something like that. I don't understand like hiding it completely, like not putting it on the back.
Oh,
when
sure.
You're clearly listing who the illustrator is or who invented the electronic game or whatever it is, right? It's just strange.
Yeah, and if it was across the board, like IPs don't do it, fine. But there are plenty of examples of IPs that do it. So,
right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Like the Wonder Woman game is also Ravensburger. I'm looking at that. Yeah, I don't know if they have the designer on that one, but that's a Ravensburger.
Have you played that one?
I have not.
The Wonder Woman game is Wonder Woman 2?
No.
Or the original one? Because I know there was like there was one I saw in Target. It was like gold foil and all this stuff. That was the second one. I mean, based off the second movie, right?
Yeah, this one's the Challenge of the Amazons. Not that Wonder Woman 84.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not pick up the 84 one just because I disliked the movie so much.
I can't wait to watch it and realize how bad it is.
You might like it. Maybe you will.
I do
want to tell you what you should and shouldn't like.
Oh.
You shouldn't like it, but I don't want to tell you that.
We'll see. All right, so suffice it to say, all of our conversation about games and increase in value and the shipping debacle and whatever started off with the idea that Kickstarters, charging or crowdfunding platforms or games that are going to these crowdfunding platforms are charging too much for stuff that's unnecessary to play a game.
Part of it was that.
Okay. Like I want to understand that because it's fascinating, but I want to know what, like, not to call out anybody or point to something. I'm just curious what that whole thing was about.
Yeah, well, I don't see why I can't say who the video is by. It gives them views, right?
I'm sure, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, so it was the Shelf Stories channel.
I'm familiar.
He says it's titled "The Prices Are Too Darn High," thinking out loud. And he talks for 20 minutes, 25 minutes. He talks about Descent, actually. He uses that as his first kind of talking about what's in it and stuff. And then he goes into the whole premise, which is he breaks down like, people feel bad when they can't get the thing that's more expensive and all that stuff.
In board games or in general?
Well, he was talking about like socially, that's just a social thing. Like if I have a bass boat and you've got a yacht, I feel bad that I don't have a yacht, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, okay.
Right. The eye roll you just did there, that's my reaction to this whole thing, because he's saying it with nothing but games behind him, and none of us need to be in the boat. None of these are needed, right?
Right.
This is all what's the word, like just being privileged enough to be able to have this stuff, right?
Sure.
So then complaining about, or he, I won't say he was complaining, but he was bringing up the thought that these deluxeified versions of these games that don't add content but add, big miniatures instead of the little wood pieces and stuff like that.
Sure.
He was saying we don't need that. Well, you don't need these either, is my point. So it's all fun. It's all, so just what level of fun you're playing. But there might be somebody who can't afford any of the games and is mad at you for having the basic game.
Right.
That doesn't mean you shouldn't have the basic game. It doesn't mean the people getting the deluxe games shouldn't have the deluxe games. I just thought it was a weird thing to point out and make issue of.
And you can say it about anything, right? Your point about the boat and like, I get it. Sure. We were just talking recently. A couple friends went down to Florida, right? And that's not a inexpensive trip. The cost to get into a park to experience Star Wars, like to ride the rides and do the thing and pilot the Millennium Falcon, like it's expensive to get into the park. But then they're opening up a fucking hotel where you can like live in the store, like your clothes, your food, you have a job. Like,
really?
Oh yeah, like it's a thing. Like when you go, it's like, here are your clothes, take yours off. Like you have a place to report, you do a thing. Like you're really in the universe. But it's like $6,000. Is that necessary, or do you just need to spend $150 to go in the park and fly the Millennium Falcon? Like,
so that's a deluxeified version of going to the park, right? And nobody even needs to go to the park. Right. So what it sounds like is someone upset that, and there are people that are upset that they can't afford the 6,000 version, but don't say let's not do it.
Right.
Don't disallow people for doing that, just because you can't.
Right.
It's more on us to, we all have a certain level where we can't get to, right?
Right.
Some of us can't have 3,000 games. Some of us can only have 1,000 games. Some of us can't have 1,000. We can only have 10, right?
Right. Yeah, some of us have one wall in a house with one shelf, and that's it. Like one in, one out.
Yeah.
I don't.
And those people probably get more games played because they don't spend half an hour going, what games should I play?
Absolutely. Someone's, I think it was Bobby might have said it. Keith might have said it too. I think it was Bobby. We were talking about Bezos going into space and calling himself an astronaut and what the definition of an astronaut is now. Like, are you really? And then all those people that were like lighting fires about the fact that he spent all this money and like, why doesn't he help out here? And why doesn't he donate the money? Why do you got to, like, I get it. But when you think about it, that whole thing that he did paid people to do a job. People that are like trying to make it, getting a job in a pandemic, feeding their family, caring for a loved one. Like if you look at it, sure, Descent $170 for what it has, fine. But like you're supporting people that made the app, that are designing in Fantasy Flight, that are doing other things that might not sell as much. Like there's another trickle down effect to that whole thing. And if someone's going to bitch about the fact that I want gold coins in my thing when I can just do cardboard chits, it's complaint. There's so many other things in the world to complain about. That shouldn't be a complaint.
That's true. But I mean, to be fair, we complain about crap that doesn't need to be.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to go back to Red Rising? I'll complain about Red Rising.
Oh, no.
Bring it on.
That dead horse is beaten to death.
I will beat that dead horse. I don't mean really, I'm not beating a dead horse. You don't hear about others. But I mean, I kind of jest at that, right? And use Bezos as an example. Like that money that he spent at that thing wasn't just to like burn fuel in a rocket. Like all of that stuff that they put together, like paid people job, salary, whatever to do
Right.
things in life. Like that,
There's hundreds, if not thousands, of people that got jobs from that. Yeah.
So if I want to spend $80 on a game because I want the ephemera that comes with it, that's unnecessary to play the game, but it's going to look sweet on my table, then great. That's $40 more that I spent over the regular edition. And that could go to whatever, helping the game company make another game, or like not have to fire somebody because it didn't do as well. Like there's so many other things that does, especially if like you're like you got a wall of games behind you and you're saying no one needs that. Yeah. Okay.
I could see the complaint if you were only making deluxeified games. I mean, to the point, like I said, he brought up Descent and then went on like there's not a standard Descent that's only $60 that you can play, right?
Sure.
It's just that, right? I could see where somebody would be like, I wish I could play Descent, but I can't because it's $170.
We'll find friends and everyone chip in and buy a game.
But I mean, he brought up Flamecraft, and there's a $37, $39 version, and then I forget what the deluxe. You would think I'd know after all this, right? Oh yeah, there you go.
This guy. This guy. Yeah, I think it's 80, isn't it? It's 40 and 80.
Yeah, and he was saying he was using that as an example too, and yeah, clearly, you're not being blocked from playing the game. You get it for $39. Daryl's right. Yeah, not all games need to be owned.
I mean,
just this game. That's the only game that really
depends on who you talk to.
I mean, Mike doesn't agree. Obviously,
I am on a mission to own them all. But I mean, so sure, right? You don't need a mini. You can do it with. I mean, it could be anything. Just offer up. I think we talked about this earlier. Just offer up every game as a $10 print and play. Make it as great as you want. Then sure, like I put in massive minis, or I put in cardboard chits, or I cut everything out of index cards. Like then sure, nothing needs the art. Do stick figures. Like it could go anywhere. Like just
yeah.
In a Kickstarter campaign, you pay somebody to do the art. They're making money to support themselves in life. You pay someone to do the video. Hopefully the video is good. They're doing something. Like you're paying someone maybe to organize the campaign, maybe to be your community manager, like everything. And that all comes with a cost. Look at shipping, right? Like everything comes with a cost. So if you want the thing to even exist, you have to charge something. So great. I'm going to throw more money at it because I believe in it. And then hopefully that goes to not somebody's vacation in Hawaii, but goes to like the next crowdfunding campaign. Or you know what? This campaign did really well because people believed in it and supported it. I'm going to hire somebody on to the company to do better, like to make us even stronger. Like all of that stuff has a purpose.
Right. I mean, it goes back to like you were talking about support your game store, right? Your local game stores, same kind of thing. Support your publishers, support your game makers, your designers, and all
the good ones, the ones that aren't like abusing their power in the company and doing some shady shit. Like support the good ones, and the good ones should be supported. And if it's a difference between a $60 regular and a $80 exclusive because I get a mini in coins, then sure. Like if that's not
a hot take.
I mean, also that's a good point.
Well, right now, I would definitely say it might be.
I think some games are more expensive than they should be.
Right.
But I mean...
Well, what's interesting is we have more small board game publishers today than we had before. Almost due completely to Kickstarter, right? Because what's interesting about Kickstarter is, I said before, a publisher can make a game for, let's say the MSRP is 40, but they have to sell to retailers at 20, right, to 50%. But whenever you sell that on Kickstarter, you get the full 40 back, right? Not that they don't have other costs and all, but
Sure.
so Kickstarter allows you to skip that discounted price. You get more profit.
Sure.
So I always wondered, like, should designers get more percentage if it's just a Kickstarter exclusive? I actually think they should. I mean, I wouldn't make that, like, I wouldn't die on that hill, but I think they should, because what I was always told in the beginning of it was that designers generally, if you don't know, designers get maybe between 3 to 8 and percent of what generally wholesale, right? So what the publisher sells to and gets profit from. But I was told that they get such a small percentage because the publisher's taking all the risk.
Sure.
But with Kickstarter, is there a risk? There's no risk, because it's not even their money they're putting down anymore. It's all pre-order stuff.
True. Yeah.
So now they're not taking a risk. If it doesn't fund, they just don't make it. And I guess there's a little bit of risk because they had to create the Kickstarter page. They had to make the art and all that stuff, right?
I
So
would
there
go
is that
one step
risk.
further. There's one more step there.
Mhm.
There are unforeseen global pandemics that could throw your whole thing out the window, right? And then you didn't when you did the Kickstarter, you were like, yeah, this is great, $10 shipping, or EU friendly, or whatever the hell you do. And then like in your Google sheet or whatever you use to organize, you're like, yeah, from what I hear from my buddies in the industry, they've been getting 40-foot containers for $5,000, $6,000. So we'll budget in maybe 7 for growth, right? And do all these numbers. And then when you actually get the manufacturers done, right? A couple extra costs you didn't see, you wanted to go a little better card or whatever. And then it comes time for shipping and you're like, $27,000. What? Now there's a risk, right? Because now what do? It's out of your own pocket because you've already spent it on art, manufacturing, warehousing, fulfillment, whatever other things are percentage to the designers. All the other, there's a couple things out there that'll break down everything that is part of the risk. But when you think about a $40 game being sold into wholesale at 20, right? So now the company's getting $20 for each game they sell into wholesale. Then you break down how much for shipping the game, how much was the art, how much is going to designers, how much was...
No. I'm not saying like the designer should get 50% or anything like that.
Sure.
I'm just saying a lion's share of the risk that publishers took before Kickstarter was, we might make this game and nobody buy it. And we just got a warehouse full of this game.
Sure.
And you didn't know until you made it and brought it over here, got it here, and then started trying to get it out to distributors and all that. You didn't know how well it would do.
Sure.
That was a huge risk, right?
Right.
But now they don't have that.
Right.
Now they know the demand.
That's my point of saying, going into retail, right, and selling it to a distributor, you're selling it at $20, and then you got to take off your percentage. Then you got to take off, like, how much did it cost to ship? What's your fulfillment? Whatever. If you're not going that route, then yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Daryl's right. I mean, it is true. The supply of designers is so high right now that that percentage isn't going to be. And I'm, like I said, it's not a hill I would die on. I wouldn't be like, I deserve more or anything like that. And I understand there's risk and all. It just always seemed a little weird to me that whenever a game went exclusive Kickstarter, for the most part at least, that because the risk went down for the publisher, it seemed like you should have gotten a little bit more. And in some cases, like Daryl says, maybe that is the case.
Yeah. Well, and also, I think it, not to bring in sports, but I think it also could be maybe pedigree. Like, do your games sell? Right. How good are you as a designer? How many games are out there? Like, are your games current? Do you have an evergreen? Like, all of those things can be part of your, like, game design resume. And you're like, you're not coming at me with 2%. Look at what I've done. Like, I get it's going to eat into your cost or your profit or whatever, but then make it better. Like,
right. Well, I mean, the idea is that if you're filled, then you're going to sell games based on your name alone.
Sure.
Right. So you get a little bit more because volume's being sold.
Sure.
But again, Kickstarter takes that out of the equation because you know how many you sell before money ever gets to,
Yep.
or you have to pay money, at
Yep.
least, to printers and shippers.
Yeah.
Um,
I think there's still a risk, but I see your point. Like when you go to a crowdfunding campaign, you're not using your money, but there are some things that are just it's still a risk.
There it is, and this thought appeared to me around 2015, and back then, Kickstarter campaigns didn't take 6 months and
Sure.
$30,000 budget to create or whatever you spend on making your Kickstarters. But if you think about the amount of people involved, artists and illustrators and animators, and then the time it takes to go into social media and make ads and Facebook ads and all that stuff, by the time you're done getting to the Kickstarter at this point, you have invested money, right?
Oh,
So,
sure. And 2015 was before Kickstarter took companies that just use it as a pre-order service too, right? Like,
right. Oh yeah, I mean, like the bigger companies like Queen Games and stuff.
I wasn't going to say it, but
What, Queen Games? I'll call them out as pre-order. They make crap and put it on there whatever they can.
well, they're not all crap.
Some of Queen Games are good, but whatever they put on Kickstarter is just money grab. It's not just
Like the big boxes, like the Escape big box and stuff. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing a campaign. Literally in the campaign, it said pre-order now. Like, no, what? It's actually against what they say. Like, this is not,
Right.
and I think that's why the banner's on there. It's not a store. Like, I get it. But man, you actually put in like one of those like comic book explosion things, pre-order now.
That's
or
funny.
the game shipping as soon as the campaign's what? No.
But that is a thing, right? I mean, Kickstarters. I wish there was a I wish there was some way of quickly indicating, hey, like when you go visit as a backer, go, I feel like supporting someone who has this thing. Show me all of those. I wish there was a way of even doing that, like a button that you have to push as a creator. Like, yeah, I don't really need this to create. Like, it's going to be made anyway.
Right.
Because you and I know plenty of games that go on Kickstarter that will be made other anyway. And then we also know games that just like that's not getting made if it doesn't get to a certain amount, right?
Sure.
And there's no way of knowing unless they say on there like pre-order now or we need you to make this game, otherwise it doesn't happen, kind of thing.
Yep.
Like I was told Troubles won't be made unless it got funded, kind of thing.
Right.
That kind of thing happens.
Right.
But the problem is that people coming into Kickstarter get one example of whatever their first backing or whatever, and then they kind of think everything's that way, and it's not. So I don't mind that there's like pre-order stuff on there, but I kind of wish that it was set in its own group or something. You know what I mean? Or at least has a little red check mark above it, like this one's already going to be made, guys. Just come and pre-order it. I don't know how you keep people honest about that, though.
Yeah, but then at that point, I think you just go to your local store and support them and ask them to pre-order the game for you. Like, hey, this game is being made by this company. Can you get me a copy?
Fair, but they're not going to get nearly as many people. I mean,
sure.
Yeah. So
I'm just saying, and if that's the situation, then just support your local store and have them buy a retailer pledge, and then the Kickstarter company is getting their pre-order through the retailer, and the retailer is getting their money through you as a supporter. Like, it's endless. I mean, what is Daryl? I haven't been watching. I've been talking.
He's been arguing with you the whole time. No, I'm kidding.
Perfect. I love it. I'll be arguing with him in person in a couple of days. But Kickstarter is really against pre-orders, and well, of course it would look totally different. I mean, think about some of the companies that use it as a pre-order service; they wouldn't be on there, right? But man, Kickstarter making millions of dollars off these companies at whatever percentage they take for running it. Sure, they're not going to turn people away.
And I'd be totally okay with that if we saw any indication that Kickstarter's using that money to make the platform better.
Sure. Yeah.
It's pretty much the same it's been for the last 9 years that I've been in it,
Yeah.
with a few little tricks and, you know.
Well, it's like Tabletopia, right? Like, take the money that we support Tabletopia with and let us search a damn deck for a card. Like, update the system. Yeah, man.
Now you're being yelled at about your jersey.
No, he's not. He's saying it's a good the Sudbury Wolves.
Well, I don't know what any of that means. So
I know. I do it for some of the viewers, not for you.
that's fine. That's why I'm clicking on it, making it pop up,
Mhm.
letting it be a thing.
Those
I don't have to be involved in everything.
I am a diehard Ranger fan. I like Tampa Bay because our local AHL affiliate is Tampa, so I follow them because it's fun to see the young kids go play in on the big stage. But I am a Ranger fan through and through. But most importantly, I love hockey. I don't care unless they're the Boston Bruins. Then I can't stand them. But other than that, basically almost all things Boston. Boston cream pie is good. New England clam chowder is good.
Boston cream pie is really good.
Yeah. Most of their sports teams suck. I can't stand them.
I couldn't tell you what they were.
Listen, I'm going to make that divisive line with our fans now. If it's Boston, I'm out. But
no, we're going to lose one subscriber.
Probably. But the big thing is I'm a hockey fan. I don't care if it's the Maple Leafs or the Blackhawks or whoever you watch, unless they beat the Rangers. Then I hate them for a day or two, and then I'm fine.
Yeah, we all have our things that we love.
Sure.
But this channel's not about it. So moving on.
Right.
Let's talk about well, actually, before we move on to the next thing, do you have like best guess or something like that you wanted to bring up? Or we didn't do that at the beginning.
Yeah, I have one, but I'm gonna save it so I can actually do like a bigger presentation.
Okay. I have a little fun activity I thought might be fun. So a lot of you know. Oh, I didn't change this. Hold on, let me type something here. Okay. A lot of you know, because I talk about it sometimes, that I run a Star Wars RPG role-playing game.
Oh, which I want to talk to you about. I have a request.
Oh, what's your request?
To do another one.
Well, I'm still in the other one.
You can run all the stuff that you have in the first one. I just know a couple people that want to participate in that.
Wait, you mean you want me to run the same story again?
I'm not saying it has to be the same, and I'm not saying you have to create a whole new world. I feel like you've already got all this material. So it shouldn't be hard to be like, new characters, let's run through it. It might be boring on your end, but when I was talking to somebody about it who's watching, maybe they're still watching, maybe not, they were like, yeah, like we'd be in. And I've been talking to you about it since you told me about it, how jealous I am that I'm not in it. So I'm just saying there's been a request made that maybe there's a few people that might want to participate.
Well, to that end, I thought it might be fun to make you a character that I can use as an NPC and bring into the game.
Okay.
Why do you sound like
I don't know.
You don't want to do this?
I'm going to be in your game, which means you can manipulate me, and I don't like that idea.
No, I promise I will try to keep it within the vein of this. Now, here's the thing. I know several of my players. What was that?
No, go ahead.
I know several of my players watch this, so it can't be somebody that's going to be surprising or something. But I thought it'd be fun just to let you make a little character here, and we could put that character. I'll put that character, introduce it at some point for fun.
Oh boy.
It'll be fun. We'll run. I'm not going to teach the whole game and all that stuff. So I'll just basically tell you I'll walk you through the generic thing of making.
Oh, that's great. I'm having flashes of that Jack Black hat that somebody created, and I'm cautiously nervous that someone's going to create this character. Like, okay.
No. Here, we'll start off with something simple. All right. What race do you want to be?
I have choices?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
We're
okay.
making you a character. We're making it together. So you could be a human. I'm not going to go through all the rules and stuff like that because that'd be boring for people to watch. So
Sure, sure, sure.
just do it off of role play feel. Like what do you want to play? Oh, you could be a clone trooper, but that'd be kind of weird. You could be a human, Aqualish. Get your arm cut off by Obi-Wan Kenobi.
No, it's cool.
Some of these I don't have in here. Actually, I haven't allowed the barbell because they're way overpowered. You could be a Bith, always being going ooh, like that. You play the clarinet like nobody's business.
No, although that kind of nope.
You could
I
be
like
Bothan.
Bolton. Yeah, I
Bothan's
like
fun.
Boston.
Bothans are good, like little spy people.
Yeah, that might be it.
Kamasi. I mean, you could always just be human if you want.
No. I am human. Why not be something different?
Syrian.
They're like Kiadi,
What? What was that?
the Syrian.
Yeah.
That's like Kiadi Mundi, right?
Yeah. Yep.
The
Master
giant.
Mundi. Chandra Fan. Oh yeah, the little rat guys.
Oh man.
I don't have any of these in the. There's only one of those. A Defil?
No.
No, you don't want to be a Defil? I'll make you bark. Just
Great.
I won't do that. Deveronian. They're fun.
No, not a Doug.
Oh,
No.
what about a Doug?
No.
Walking around on your hands?
With
No?
it's like the T-Rex with the small legs. I'm not. Oh,
Yeah.
an Ewok?
No, you can't be an Ewok.
Oh, come on.
I'm not allowing Ewoks. They're on a little moon all by themselves out in the nowhere. There's no possible way they'd be out
It
running around.
makes it even more challenging for you to get me into the game. So I feel like
There's some species I just haven't allowed because of that. Duros.
Crowling. No.
One of our characters is one of our players is a Duros. Let's see. Falleen. You could be Falleen. If you've read what was it? Shadows of the Empire,
Yeah.
you'd want to be a Falleen.
Is that like Prince Xavier or whatever his name was?
Xavier, yeah. Or not Zizor.
That's
Prince
it.
Zizor, yeah. Gamorrean. They just had a whole big thing with Gamoria.
Yeah, I'm good.
A Gand?
If I'm a Gamorrean, do I have a Rancor as a pet?
No.
No.
You want to be a Rancor? I'm just kidding. You can't be a Rancor. You could be a Genosian. Renegade Genosian.
I can't be.
Why?
Spoiler.
Oh. Well, okay. Let me say in the campaign right now, they're in year 1 of the Clone Wars.
Okay.
No.
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 Nope.
No.
No.
A Godel.
The Godol's kind of cool. I like when he keeps popping up in Rebels. It seems like it's the same character on multiple planets, but he is fun.
You're saying all Godels look the same? That's racist.
I mean, I should be a Gungan. I was thinking Twilight Mike.
A Gungan? Gungans are allowed? You would be so like it is. No, not a Herglig. I don't have those. You can't be a Hut.
I'm not gonna be a Hut.
Iktachi, I think is how that's said.
No.
They're kind of neat. They have like
the tusks.
Clairvoyant abilities, I think. A Thorian? Big hammerhead dudes.
Could be a Jawa.
You can be a Jawa. I've allowed Jawas. You could be a Kaminoan. Kaminoan.
No. Keldor. Or Keldor. Sorry.
Keldor is kind of cool.
Yeah, but Plo exists.
Plo Koon.
No. I'd want to be someone that's...
They've run into Plo Koon, actually.
That's pretty cool.
Nautilin. They haven't run into Kit Fisto. Oh, Mon Calamari.
Yeah, I just want to walk around just yelling it's a trap all the time.
Quarren, squid face.
Yeah, I
Squid.
do like the Rhodians.
Rhodians, one of our players, a Rhodian as well.
I like the Rhodians. I like the good Rhodians. Yep.
Yeah, you could be a Quarren. Twi'leks. One of our players, a Twi'lek. A Celestin.
No.
No. A Taos. I don't know if I would allow a Taos. They kind of just, they're not really, there's only like a few that are out and about in the world, you know, in the
Yeah.
galaxy. Togruta. There's already a pretty main character, Togruta. I don't know if you'd want to be one of those, but
Oh, the only Togruta I've seen is female, or at least
there's male. No, there's some in the Clone Wars.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah. Trandoshan.
No.
That might be fun. One of our players is a Wookiee, and they do not get along. Did you know that Trandoshans and Wookiees come from the same star system?
I know now.
2 different planets. Yep. Twi'lek.
Yeah, 12 would be fun.
Yeah, one of our players is a Twi'lek Jedi. Barn. I don't think I'm playing with Barn. You could be a Verpine or Verpine.
No.
Insect dude. They have a couple of them as friends. Weequay.
Oh, Weequay.
Those are all over the galaxy.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
You know, what's interesting about them is they don't have their own kind of names. They just take names from any other culture. You be a Wookiee.
I mean, I'd love to be a Wookiee.
And no Yuzon Fong. Zabrak. Could be a Zabrak.
That's not bad either.
So that's your choices. What do you want to be?
So I think it's Wookiee, Rhodian, or what was the first one?
What was the first one you said? It's way up. Oh, you said maybe Jawa?
No, not Jawa.
Not Jawa. Oh, Bothan.
Oh, no. Yeah, both of them was cool. The Godel. I think the Godel would be fun.
Godel, Bothan. Hey, it's Cardboard Academy.
Howdy, howdy.
Or Alchemy, not Academy. We are making a Star Wars character for Mike here to be in my game.
Yeah, officially. It's gonna be a mess. I'm gonna have no idea what this character does. He can make up whatever he wants every episode.
You can tell me, like, where's he from, what's he do and stuff, and I'll play him like he's that character.
Okay.
I'll be true to him. As long as it's not ridiculous. It's gotta feel right.
Define ridiculous.
That you aren't I don't know. You can get ridiculous. You know what I mean?
I don't know what you mean. All right, Bothan or Rhodian. I think the Godel would be fun.
So let's see. Godels. Well, hold on. We had Bothan up here, right?
Yeah.
So Bothans, do they have anything cool? They don't really have anything. They're short. 1.3 meters tall. It's pretty small. Yeah, they're actually really good at perception, like being able to see things and talk their way out of stuff. Pretty good. Some of these aliens have specific abilities and stuff, so that's what I was just looking for.
Sure.
And what's your other one that you were thinking of?
The Rhodian or the Godel? Yeah, the Godel.
So Godels. Oh, they actually have a special ability, energy sensitivity. Radiation emissions. I can't imagine how often you're going to be able to detect radiation, I guess, but don't know if that's that important. They're also pretty good at perception. Wow. And then your other one was what?
I mean, I want to be an Ewok, but
yeah, I don't know Ewoks.
What's the Rhodian? Let's look at the Rhodian.
Oh, yeah, they're not really that special.
Really?
Yeah, it's weird. The only thing they really say about them is that nobody really trusts them because they have a reputation for being criminals.
Oh, interesting. Because some of the Roydians that we've met have been like very
Yeah.
honest and, huh?
Yeah, but this was based off of the original series, and Greedo is the only example of that species, so that's what they built the whole thing off of.
Sure, sure.
You know
Sort of
what's interesting about that?
often short. Wow.
So Watto's character, I mean, race. Remember Watto from episode 1
Yeah.
and 3? Um, Starts with a T.
Toydarian?
Toydarian, yeah. Um, if you were to think, oh, what is his race like, you might base it off of him. But when they show them in the Clone Wars, they're all like honorable
Yeah.
people, and they're like, oh, our tradition is to, give, yeah, Toydarian things is to give, our guests extra, all this stuff, and they're very nice and peaceful, loving people and stuff like that. I thought that was really interesting
Yeah.
to not base the race off of the one Toydarian we met, right?
Yeah.
That makes Watto just a little bit of extra piece of shit
Yeah.
about it, because he's even worse compared
Sure.
to the rest of his race.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So what do you want to be?
I kind of want to be a Roydian.
Great. All right. So you're going to be a Roydan. So we'll write that in here
Okay.
under race. You want to be male or female?
Male.
Too bad. You're going to be female. Just kidding.
This is where the user has perception of choice, but it's all going to be controlled by the DM. That's awesome.
Right-handed, left-handed?
Left-handed.
Just for fun, or are you actually left-handed?
Both. I write lefty. I throw righty.
How weird. All right. And generally green. Sometimes you can be kind of bluish or purple or...
Yeah, I like the bluish.
Bluish? Okay.
Sure.
Let's see. Where is that? Physical description. I'll just write bluish. Right. What kind of personality you want to be? You want to be a criminal? You want to be a politician? You want to be... What do you want to be?
I definitely don't want either of those things.
There is actually... There are... what do you call them? Templates. If you want an idea to that, I could show you those.
Sure. Like, I don't know what personality is going to do in your game.
I'm just going to base it off of, like, if you say he's a criminal and all that stuff. Okay, so let's see. So young senator. Some of these won't fit in properly. Young Jedi. You could be a young Jedi, like a Padawan. Oh, you want to be like a young Padawan that they meet? You could be like, 15, 16 years old, something like that.
That just means I'm going to die in the temple. Like, it's not going to go well.
You don't know what's going to happen. You can't make your character based off of knowing things like that.
I guess.
You could be an engineer, really good at mechanical stuff. Smuggler.
Oh, smuggler.
Just right to smuggler, huh?
Yep.
All right. So if you're a smuggler, do you want to work for a specific organization, or do you want to be freelance?
No, freelance.
All right, freelance smuggler. So we're going to write smuggler up here. I think this is telling of who you are. What do you want your name to be?
Get back to it.
Okay. All right. So then a little bit about rules, how this is played. Basically, we don't even have to go too much into rules, but dexterity, you can see what happens here. Blasters and dodging blasters and melee weapons and stuff, running. That's what you're dealing with here.
Okay.
Perception. This is like wildly all over the place, right? You got carousing and commanding, but you also get the con people, lying, forgery, gambling is in here, hiding and sneaking, searching, persuading people. It's kind of all over the place. This is also, this number right here is what you roll for initiative and fighting. Strength.
And what is that number? Is that a 30?
No, that's a 3D. So Here, I'll tell you real quick. Basically, this is a D6 system. So you use D6s. You always have one that's a little weird, a little different than the rest of them. So if I told you to roll your perception, you would roll 3 dice, one of them different. We call it the wild die.
Yeah.
And you roll it, and if the wild die is a 6, you get to roll another die. And if that die is a 6, you get to roll another die. So it explodes.
Yeah.
If you miss whatever I'm rolling and your wild die is a 1, then something goofy happens to you.
Great.
So it just adds some fun. Like if you're shooting at somebody and you roll a 1 and you miss, then you need to reload. Just adds a little bit of story to what's going on.
Okay.
Or you might drop your weapon or something like that. So this says 3D. All of these say 3D right now. You can adjust these because you start off with 18 total. So as long as it all equals 18 and it fits within your range, that is your race. Like you can't be a 8D strength Rhodian because they don't get that strong, kind of.
Okay.
So strength is kind of obvious, lifting, running, jumping, brawling. But it's also you taking damage. So somebody shoots you, you roll your strength against their damage.
Okay.
Knowledge, that's pretty obvious, but you got streetwise in there. So if you want some criminal stuff, you want to meet somebody and, but also knowing planetary systems and stuff. Mechanical, that's all your starship stuff. Our repulsor lift is like, that's all speeders. So driving speeders and stuff like that. And then technical is repairing droids, repairing things, using computers, hacking into security.
Okay.
So all you have to do is tell me which of these things do you want to be better at and worse at.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah. You want to be, so for instance, if you want to be really good, you want to have a 4D in dexterity. That means you got to take a D out of something else. So maybe you're going to be wiry. Now you got 2D strength. See, that's all I mean.
Oh, okay. I'm not spending points in the system.
You will spend points, but first you have to decide what these are.
All right. They're all important, right? I mean, perception, especially for a smuggler, perception and maybe dexterity could take a hit.
Yeah, you could be real slow at dexterity if you want and high in perception. But remember, when you get in a gunfight, you probably need to get behind a wall or something because you can't dodge well, you can't shoot well, unless you put points in there.
Right. So knowledge, mechanical and technical.
Yeah, this is driving. So Han Solo, he's got really high, repulsor lift operation, which is driving speeders and stuff. He's got really high piloting. I'm sure gunnery, all that. But you don't have to be the pilot if you're the smuggler. You might have a friend or something, right?
Right, as long as somebody on my crew knows how to fix the ship.
Right.
Technical is droids.
Yeah, that's repairing stuff.
Yeah.
Or medical is on there as well. Demolition, security, if you need to hack into things. Or they call it slicing in Star Wars. Not hacking.
All right, dexterity. Leave that the way it is. The 2 and the 4 is fine. Leave the other 3s.
Okay.
I'm a little slower. Maybe I'm a little older of a smuggler.
You want to be older?
But I'm saying like my dexterity is low, so maybe I'm just an older person.
Yep.
And then my perception is high because I've been around.
You could be a heavy set Rhodian. Little weight.
I mean, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to be yet.
Yeah. All right. And then, so your highest one here is perception. So what of these skills, and I don't know if I need to explain the skills a little bit more, but basically searching, you're eyeballing, looking for things around a room, persuasion, you know what these words mean.
Yeah, I do.
Persuade people.
Yeah, I think persuasion would be a little higher in that group.
Okay, so let me tell you how this works. So right now you would roll 4D for all of this stuff below here, right?
Right.
But if you want persuasion to be a little higher, then you put some character points. I give you some 300 character points. We're not going to use them all here because it would take a little while. But just to give you some idea, and you can tell me off camera afterwards if you want more stuff in here for fun. But so if you want to add to persuasion, the way this works is 4D can go up to 4D plus 1, 4D plus 2, and then it jumps to 5D. And then it goes 5D plus 1, 5D plus 2 to 60. And each jump of that level up costs as much as whatever that number here is. So it will cost 4 points to go from 4D to 4D plus 1. Make sense?
Yeah.
So if you make persuasion, let's say you made it 5D. So you're going to roll 5 dice for that. That means you went up 3 times in 40. 40 plus 1, 40 plus 2, and 5D. So that would cost you 12 points. Make sense?
Okay.
And down here, I have it automatically calculate. You just spent 12 points.
Right.
You have 288 left.
Okay.
So just tell me what you want to bump up and add to. How do you want them to be in Blaster? Would you rather be a melee person? Probably not with a 2D, huh?
No, I don't think melee at a 2D would be smart.
Do you want to be higher in persuasion?
No, so you're saying I have everything there that's blank right now is just a straight up 4D roll.
Yep.
But I can make it a 4D plus 1 by spending 4 points?
Yep.
I can make dexterity a 2D plus 1 by spending 2 points?
Yes. And here's the other thing. You can actually raise these, but it costs 10 times this point. So it costs 20 points to turn that into a 2D plus 1. And then that would make all of these 2D plus 1.
So it would cost me 60 points to make that a 3D.
Yes.
Interesting.
As long as you stay within the range of your race, you can adjust those.
Am I in danger of going outside of my race?
That's what I was just going to check.
Okay.
Go look at Rhodians here. Way down here. Rhodians have...
Copy that chart and paste it here on the document.
Do what?
Copy the chart that you're looking at and paste it here.
That's just right there.
Or you could do that too.
So that's the max for dexterity. 4D plus 2. The Rhodians can have.
Okay.
Look at this, actually. You can't have a 4D in perception. 3D plus 2 is the highest they go.
Come on.
Well, that's another reason to pick a different race if you wanted to.
No, I already started making this smuggler.
All right, so if we make this a 3D plus 2, we still have a plus 1 to add somewhere else. So we can make this a 2D plus 1. How about that?
All right, then you got to take that 5D persuasion out.
Right. Well, you can still make it 5D. It's just 3 points more to get it up to 5D if you wanted. It would be 15 to get there.
Why is it only 15? I thought it'd be more. Oh, because it's a plus 2. Never mind.
The cap for starting or total ever? I'm not sure what he's asking.
Is that your starting character or just your character overall? I think is what he's asking.
Oh, your starting character would be like this without that changed. And then you get a certain amount of points at the beginning of the game to add stuff. 300's really high. I'm making you kind of like near the level of the players right there. Normally you might get like 20 points or something.
That chart you brought in about the Rhodian, is that my cap level overall, or is that just my cap for starting?
This is what this is your cap overall. You can never have more than 4D plus 1 strength up here.
Okay, gotcha.
But you can have like 8D brawling if you want. These can go above those caps.
Okay. All right. Yeah, keep persuasion then for the 15, because why the hell not?
Oh, he meant it for the perception. Yeah. So perception, he can't. His perception can't ever go above 3D plus 2, but he can make all of his skills go above that.
I think we need to add to the hide and sneak. If I'm going to be a little slower dexterity wise, I think I need to be a little more sneaky, right?
That's fair. So what do you want to be on there? Just give me a number and I'll put in what it costs over there.
Oh yeah, because you make it sound so easy. So right now it's a 3D plus 2. It would cost me 3 points to make it a 4D.
Correct.
So why don't we make that a 5D as well?
All right. Oops, put it in the wrong spot.
Perfect. Let's stick in perception for a minute. So carousing.
Carousing's kind of like walking through a bar and like finding out people's names and how they're doing and stuff, right. And
surveying the situation,
getting some information.
Bump that. Well, 3D plus 2. Yeah, so let's make that a 4D.
All right. That only takes 3 points.
3 points. Yeah, I like that. Command. Let's do the same thing for command.
You're probably going to end up with a little crew or something like that, huh? So you might want to command them sometimes.
So con.
So that's lying, which for a smuggler, you might want to have a little bit of that because you're going to have to lie to customs and stuff, right?
Yeah, I think that should be 5D.
All right. Just to give you like a heads up, I would say 4 to 5D is kind of professional level.
Okay, that's good then. Forgery is tricky, right? Because if I need to smuggle, I might need somebody to I might need to be able to hack into a system or have a badge or something.
Yeah, and again, you can't do everything, so you might hire someone who, you might have a high streetwise, which means you could find someone to make your forged papers for you.
Right, I can con somebody into doing it for me. All right, leave forgery alone. Leave gambling alone.
Nobody ever wants to be a great gambler.
I mean, 3D plus 2 for the amount of times I'm going to play Sabak in the game, I'm sure I'm fine.
They actually did go to a casino a couple games ago, and they did horribly.
Oh, nice. Perfect.
Well, they sat down at a Sabak table in the middle of a casino out in the middle of a swamp. I mean, what do you expect?
Intimidation, make 4D.
All right. You're not making a very nice guy here.
Oh, I'm a smuggler.
Well, Han Solo was nice.
Sure, I'm pretty sure his 4D would have been the same thing.
Probably.
Plus, he pissed off basically everybody that he ever came in contact with.
Yeah, I think he had a really horrible con, too. Like, whenever they said, "What's going on up there?" He's like, nothing. Everything's fine. How are you?
Yeah.
That's rolling a 1 on the wild die.
Yeah. And then he just shoots the thing because it's not working in his way. Yeah. Search.
Yeah, looking for stuff in a room, secret doors or switches, or
Yeah, leave it alone.
Looking for someone in a room. Leave it alone.
Yeah, I mean, adding 3 points doesn't seem like a lot, but there's other things. So.
All right, now let's look at your weakest thing, your dexterity.
Right.
You might have to spend some points getting certain things up. Dodging is going to keep you alive. Someone shoots at you, you roll dodge to avoid it.
Right, but if I'm hiding and sneaking, I might not have to get shot at as much.
True.
But yes, dodge should go up. What would that cost to make it 4 then? So if it's 2...
So if you made that 4D...
It would be 2, 4 to get to 3.
Yep. And then 9
3,
more.
6, 9. Okay, so yeah, make that 4D. That's fine. Heavy weapons, not so much. I thought that said melee party, and I'm like, what's melee party?
Yeah, melee is like a sword, right? Sword attack.
Yeah.
And then melee parry is what you use to block that attack.
So that's if somebody's coming at me melee style.
Yep.
So make that 4D as well.
Okay.
Leave melee. What is it? 2, 4. So put 4 points in melee. That makes it a 3D at least. Pickpocket, leave. I don't like running unless I'm getting chased by a bear, so leave that alone. Actually, no. I might want to run away from things when they go.
Yeah, running lets you double or even triple your speed.
Yeah, so make that 4D as well. Okay, and then what do we got? Blaster. I need to be good with a blaster. Grenades, I don't care. I mean, unless it's like proximity stuff, right? Is it like literally accuracy of throwing a grenade, or is it?
Yeah, it's putting the grenade where you want it to end.
I don't want to be up close with a bunch of people. All right, let's start with blaster. Let's make blaster. I need to be good. Maybe I don't.
Han Solo, I think by Return of the Jedi was around 11 or 12D. To let you know how good they were. Don't hold that as a target, but
In the beginning, he was as bad as a stormtrooper.
I don't know about that.
They didn't. Those laser blasters were all over the place.
Oh, you mean a New Hope?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, running and shooting is probably hard.
Sure, I get it. Yeah, so blaster should be higher.
What you want that to be?
Do what would it 2, 4, 9, 13 to get it up to a 4, and then 4, 8, 12 to get it to a 5. So it'd be 25 points to get it to a 5D.
Sounds right. Yep.
Yeah, do that.
No, it'd be 15. It'd be 28 points.
2, 4 to make it to a 3. 3, 6, 9 to make.
Oh, you're right. You're right. 25. Yep.
I know I'm not good at math. I've openly admitted it.
No, you're right.
Math and I do not get along, but if I understand it correctly, brawling parry. If I am in,
That's someone's punching at you.
yeah. I'm
You're blocking the punch.
If I'm in a position to be in a brawl, my perception should make me better at avoiding it.
Well, if you're in a position of a brawl, that means you failed your hide sneak because they found you and they're punching you now.
All right, make it a 3. So 2, 4 points on it. I'm just gonna make everything an even like 4D, 3D, whatever, and then add
that's
like
generally what I do.
Yeah. Heavy weapons, I'm not touching. Pickpocket, I don't care.
Am I gonna be pickpocketing people?
No, I'm smuggling, right? I'm not a thief.
All right. What about brawling?
No, I think grenades got to go up too. Make a grenade. Make the grenade 3D for now. I might have to go up a little bit more. All right, brawling.
If you're not going to be punching people, don't even bother. If you're up against someone who is a brawler, you're not going to be blocking or hitting them or anything. You should just get out of there.
Right. Which is why my running is up. Climbing needs to be higher.
What do you want on there? 4D?
I would make it at least 4D. Jumping, I'm not very.
Just to jump across things, like the further you can jump.
Yeah, I'm not very dexterous though, so.
Well, it's based off of strength, not dexterity.
Right. I'm just thinking of like the balance between
how character.
Right. Lifting, stamina, and swimming.
So stamina comes into play if someone's shooting you with like trying to knock you out. Stun weapons.
What's an average, like, is 5D really strong for this type of character, or should I be thinking like 6, 7, 8D for some of these things?
So some of these things, so here's what happens. When someone, let's say in a single round, I say, how many actions do you want to do? And you say, I want to do 3 things. I want to keep one for dodging in case I get shot at. I want to shoot back twice, right? So if you do 3 actions,
area where you're like, I'm not just entering a bar and saying I'm going to dodge
right,
shot at and I'm going to shoot that person.
right,
Okay.
no, this is like in combat, right?
Okay.
So if you're saying I want to shoot twice and I want to save one for dodge, you always get a free action, and in every other action you have to lose a die for all of the stuff you're doing. So if your blaster is 5D and you're doing 2 other actions, it's now 3D. So if you want,
Ooh.
you know, yeah. So if you want to do more actions, you want more dice and the things that you're going to be doing that.
Okay. So some of this stuff needs to go up a little higher then.
Probably.
All right, let's continue.
Well, I don't want to make the whole the whole show about this. We can do this afterwards if you want. I just kind of wanted to get a glimpse of the kind of character and stuff that you'd be making.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, afterwards, like in Discord and stuff, if you want, we can continue or
Yeah.
have fun with it.
I think the mechanical and the technical will stay for the most part.
You want to be real knowledgeable about stuff?
Knowledge is going to go up because I want to know about the people that I'm trying to smuggle either into or out from.
That's probably more streetwise, knowing like criminal organizations or
right.
Well, also bureaucracy would be helpful.
Yeah, and the cultures, like that's even the planetary systems, like to know what to bring because of where we're going. I think knowledge is going to go higher for me than the other stuff.
You know what sucks is for Rodian, 3D is the max.
Come on. But that's fine because I can make my skills higher.
Yeah, you can make the skills higher.
Yeah, I don't care about that stuff then.
All right.
Yeah, I think knowledge is where I'm going to spend a lot more of the 160 points that are remaining.
That's cool. Anyway, that's a taste of making a character for your Star Wars.
It's funny you brought that up because last week, maybe the week before, I was talking to someone about what you do and how cool it is and how jealous I am, and his response was like, "Oh yeah, we do that." I'm like, okay. So if you're to a certain degree, you might have another group of people interested in running through your.
Well, the problem is I've told you some secrets of that stuff, right?
I mean, you're also giving me credit for remembering what you tell me, and I usually don't listen to you.
Yeah, but if you come back into it, you go, "Oh wait, oh crap, I know this is about to happen," kind of thing.
Well, as a Star Wars fan, I know things are going to happen, right? From where we start to what's going on, like, at some point, Anakin's going to storm the temple. Like, it's going to happen. Yeah. So, like, if I'm a Jedi or I'm in the temple as a librarian, some shit's going to go down. Like,
yeah, I wouldn't be a librarian in that temple. In Clone Wars.
I wouldn't want to be a custodian in that
thing. One thing that's happening in the so I told you that right now they're in
more.
No, I'm not going to tell you anymore. But right now they're in year 1 of the Clone Wars, right? And I started them in episode 1 time, and they've grown up. They were 10 years old and or 9 years old, I think, and they grew up to where they are now, about 19 years old. Same age group as Anakin. Some of them are asking me now, like, at what point are they going to stop? And I won't tell them. And normally in campaigns and stuff, you might say, "Oh, we're going to go to level 10 or we're going to go to level 20 or something like that." But as you can see, it's not levels and stuff. You kind of just play until either the story's done or everybody goes, time to play something else, But in this case, I don't want them to know when the story is done, because then you kind of artificially, it's kind of like when you're watching a movie and you're like, well, it's not the guy you think it is because you're only 20 minutes into the movie. Yeah. So clearly you've got something, like, I don't want that artificial understanding of, I don't want them to know when Order 66 is coming. I don't want to, all that stuff. So I don't want them to even think ahead, like, when are we going to stop at what point? And all. So I haven't told them, but I'm wondering if some of them are getting annoyed that they're not getting that information. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too stingy with the information.
I mean, a Star Wars fan will know when Order 66 is going to happen. So, I mean, that shouldn't be.
Yes and no. I mean, like I tell them every now and then I'll say like, oh, this and this just happened. It's big news. And if they watched the Clone Wars series, they'd be like, oh, okay, that's where we are in the Clone Wars at this time, you know. And I also keep dates on the adventure logs and stuff that I do. So if they really dig into it, they can kind of figure out where they are. Like I said, they're in year 1 of the Clone Wars.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to jump ahead a little bit and maybe not warn them. It's because I just don't want them going, oh, okay, I'm going to start watching all the Clone Trooper. Oh, we need to be over here at this time, you know. No, I'm not going there. You know, I don't want that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Which they're good role players, so they won't do that. But in the back of your head, you're still, everybody knows what's coming, right?
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
That is the one drawback of being in Star Wars, is that it's a system that I can't change. Like in D&D, I could say something like, you know, oh, here's a different land and the kingdoms are set up like this, you know, to fit my story. But in here, no matter what my story is, at some point the Emperor dies, or, you know, Darth Vader becomes Darth Vader. Wherever you stick it, you could, for a long time, we used to play right after Return of Jedi. But now there's stuff going on there, right?
But I mean, if not for the gaps, then we wouldn't have Rogue One, right? How cool is Rogue One leading into Episode 4? So
right,
you're doing all these side, and like, look at Bad Batch. Like, you have a lot, even though there's a lot of stuff on rails that are happening. You're doing side stories that are kind of like just crossing at some points, which is really cool.
Yeah, they touch each other every now and then. In fact, they at one point they tried to get a hold of a Jedi to ask for their advice or something, and they couldn't get a hold of her because she was trying to help find Plo Koon, who was missing after searching for this deadly weapon. You know, and it was an actual episode. If you remember the episode from Clone Wars, you know what's going on, kind of thing. And I keep track of where they are in that, so that at any time they could go, how's the war going? And I'd be like, oh, it's bad. You guys, you know, just had this happen. Or, oh, it's actually pretty good. You just won at Malice there, you know.
Yeah.
So it's good to have that already built out. That's the benefit of using Star Wars, right? I don't have to invent all of it.
Sure.
And when I say you run into a Doug, everybody knows, oh, okay, that's the guy that walked. I don't have to explain, show pictures, and tell you this is how they walk on their hands. It's weird. It's
right.
So good things and bad things about it.
Sure, I guess, yeah.
I think it will be a little while before I run another game after this one, though, because it has been a while. I think we started November, just before COVID. So November of 2019.
But every other week, right? So twice a month?
Right. Every other week, generally twice a month. Yeah. Twice a month. Yep. Because it's always twice a month. So.
Right. And then your little side missions and stuff.
Yeah. I run side stuff on emails all the time. And that's actually, honestly, a lot of the majority of the stuff. So.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Anyway, I just thought I'd give you a little taste of that. We lost all our viewers, so I guess they didn't want to know that.
Awesome.
What have we been playing? This way they can jump past the Star Wars stuff.
No, that's true, yeah. Oh yeah, because your fancy little your little bars on the bottom.
Yeah, I'll put timestamps on there for them.
So last Tuesday, I experienced Descent for the first time. Other than that, I had set up and learned how to play like the coffin box version of the game. So like Descent was all new to me. Even though this is not like a Descent 3rd edition. But yeah, it's a massive box for for good reasons. Like we talked about it being hollow for the thoughtfulness of not having to take the terrain down. And I'm not a big fan of apps in games. Like I feel the need to play a game is to disconnect, right? To be analog, to be away from screens, to be interacting with the people at the table. We immediately ran into a problem with the laptop. It was an older laptop running through Steam. It just shit the bed. Like it was, if the thing could have given us double middle fingers, it would have. So then at that point, it was like, yeah, but if you didn't have a backup, the game's unplayable.
So you can play without the app.
You can't.
Oh, you can't.
No.
So it's like the Lord of the Ring adventure one, a journey, and what's the
Middle
horror
Earth.
one?
What?
Mansions of Madness. Yeah.
Yep. Which I appreciate them doing a second edition of Mansions with the app, because then no one has to incorrectly set up the mansion, ruin 4 hours of gaming, and not be able to play the game with everybody. Although
I did that twice.
Right, that's why I brought it up. I do appreciate that role, right? Being the evil one in that scenario is.
It was fun being evil in that game. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it.
If you set it up right.
Sure. This one, you can download the app, so you don't need Wi-Fi. And somebody else had it on their phone, so we used their phone. But now you're talking about a phone as opposed to a laptop. But the UI of the app was really engaging. Like you knew what was in line of sight. You knew what you could interact with. The game was giving you choices as a character. So like when you set up for the first time, it's asking you what you're doing. Are you searching for something, or are you seeking revenge? And then you push, and that's kind of setting up your story arc as you play through the game. So there's a lot of back end stuff that is fun that comes across as more of a digital platform type of thing. When you're playing the game does not keep track of where the minions are or where you are. So like it just tells you the terrain, how to build it, what it looks like, where to put things. Like there's on this square is abandoned, on this square is abandoned, on this square is a tree, put a treasure chest down the stairs in the corner, whatever.
And they show it on the app.
Yeah. Yep.
So that sounds just like the Lord of the Rings journey one. And
yep.
So what bothered me about that is I was like, why am I reproducing on the table what you already have in here? Why don't I just play it on the app?
Right. So they don't keep track of the bad guys or where you are.
But you could easily.
Sure. Of course.
So it almost feels like you're playing a video game, and for some reason you're keeping track of it physically on the table.
No, because everything else is analog. You're rolling the dice, which is not in the video game. I'm not pushing a button to swipe at something, right? And your choices are all like you have your movement. You can move up to a certain amount of things, and then you can choose to interact with the tree. As you uncover more stuff or the fog lifts, then more of the board comes out. So it does really good things to get you to set up and play. I think it adds a little bit of time because the tiles are like 16A, 16B, 3A, 3B. So now you got to find the tile to put out. Like it definitely adds some, it keeps it organized, but it adds some time to the game. But man, like if I decided to fight the wolf boar or whatever the hell animal it was, like on the app, whose turn is it? And you drag them to the creature you're fighting, and then it comes up with like you on one side, the animal on the other, how many hit points it has, and then you roll your dice, and based on how the mechanisms work in the game, you tell the app how many successes you have, and you hit confirm, and then it tells you how much damage you did. It automatically calculates how much the thing had to block. Like it works well together.
But I understand that, and I've played the Lord of the Rings one and enjoyed it and stuff, but it still feels like this, with a few more tweaks, you could just make this a computer game, and I'll just play that as a computer game if you do that.
Sure.
Like if I could get the Lord of the Rings, because I didn't finish it. I think we played 5, maybe 6 missions in. Um, so if I could get that on Steam where I could just play it as a computer game, I'd finish it.
Right.
And it feels like you're just leaving out a little bit of programming. And that's all it takes.
Sure,
I don't know.
but then you're not playing a board game. You're not at the table with friends. You're on a digital platform, sitting in your chair on a giant TV with a controller. Like it's not. It's a good. I haven't played I have it. I haven't played it. Neither the Mansion Second Edition or the Lord of the Rings one, but I can see its benefit.
It sounds very familiar. I mean, yeah, the benefit that I've found mostly is that in Lord of the Rings, when a monster pops up, it'll have a few keywords on there,
Right.
like slasher or whatever it is, special armor and stuff like that. And I don't have to go to the rule book and go, what does that mean? What does that mean?
Yep.
I just go, oh, I hit it 4 times and it does 2 damage and highlights special armor. I'm like, oh, okay, that's piercing, all that stuff. I don't need to know what all that stuff means.
But even the narrative that comes out of it, right? Like when the monsters appear, it's a story driven campaign. So your story, the story in the game, what's going on when we got to the big bad of the level, like all of that stuff is right there. You don't have to search a book. It's asking you questions like, why are you here? What are you doing? And if the choice was, are you here searching for something, or are you here to seek revenge for the people of your village, right? And if I make that decision, then I gotta like flip through a book and find that next thing. It's like there for me. As soon as you hit that button, it's like, I'm seeking revenge. Great, this is what's going on. And on the back end, it's, I believe, creating these forks, right? So when you get somewhere else, at the end of the level, it was like, all right, well, now you get another choice, or halfway through the level, you'll get a choice. Like, it's going to be based on your character. So if you're an optimistic character or a pessimistic character based on your choices, it's doing those spider webs as you play the game, which I don't think could be done cleanly at the table with a card system or a book, right? It seemed
Right.
a little bit more chunky if that's going on. So it's streamlining that end of things, which I appreciate.
Yeah, I appreciate that as well. It does sound like I don't remember those kind of story questions and the Lord of the Rings one. So it sounds like the Scent has added a little more story stuff. So that's cool. I like that.
Well, like at some point, again, with the 3D terrain, right? Like you start off, there's these thin cards that are reversible for water, and then there's the tiles that are like the forest or the stone or whatever. And then we came up to a gate with a door. It's like, all right, well, I know from some time that I played with Call of Cthulhu, I'm not touching the door because the door is going to knock me back and drain all my life or something. So like, where's the tank? Go touch the door. So you're deciding who's going to go for that turn. And then you open the door and it was like, grab these tiles, put a staircase, use the columns for this other level. And then it became this like 3D type, like off the table type thing, which was really cool. But before we got to the gate, there was a tree, and one of the things is you can interact with the majority of the stuff that's on the table. Some things you can't, but you touch the app and it'll tell you this is untouchable, or you can't interact with it, or this is what it's there for, but you can't touch it, kind of stuff. But man, sure enough, you touched a tree and there were 3 options. Do you climb it? Do you pick the fruit, or you do something else? And you're like, do you eat the fruit? I don't know. What do you do? And then you get to select it as your character. So like at one point, Jason was up in the tree. I wanted to go over and knock the tree over while Jason was in it. Like it created fun kind of, can I do that kind of moments? And basically it was like, yeah, you can go touch the tree and this is what's going to happen. So that was cool, which I don't know if Lord of the Rings does. I don't think it has interactive or
not so much. If it does, that's the thing. Like it's a campfire, you can go touch the campfire, but it's like glowy, like it lets you know you can go touch that.
Right.
It's not like a discovery process. So
right. Yeah,
it sounds like they've improved upon even that.
So. I would say so. For the price tag we were talking about earlier, I would hope that it wasn't just a regurgitation of what they've already done, but now we have these stairs. Like
Yeah. Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. I want to play it again. I don't know what, like, we succeeded in the mission, but we didn't, like, I mean, I guess spoilery content. We didn't kill the bad person. They kind of ran away, right? Because now we're gonna get them later on, I'm sure. But we don't know what the hell was going on. And another thing that I liked in the game is even when you killed all the minis in the area, you can choose to go through the door and advance, or just hold back and interact with all the other stuff that, like, kind of like, I think, from what I understand, Gloomhaven-esque, right? There's no more baddies, but you can spend some time to go to other places.
Right.
But the mission ends, and if you left some shit, you left some shit. This is like, unless we advance forward, I can go touch the treasure chest, fuck with the puzzle, go touch the tree, do whatever I'm doing until the end of the game. That scenario. Once we defeated the boss, campaign was over. And we were like, well, wait a minute. Like, I wanted to do that. We didn't touch the treasure chest, and there was still a tree. So had we known that, maybe some people could have kept the boss busy and then interacted with the stuff, but we didn't know that the scenario was going to immediately end at that point, because we had other checkpoints that were kind of like, take your time. So we thought maybe at the end, now we can go mess with the treasure chest. But
let me ask you, is there an undo button?
I don't
know. If you accidentally hit a thing, can you hit undo? That was my biggest problem with the Lord of the Rings thing, is I did actually accidentally hit a thing, and I was like, oh wait, that's not, like, my hand just hit it. I was like, that's not a thing, and it messed up our game. So like, we didn't choose to do that, and now it disciplined us, and there was no way to undo it.
So yes and no. There comes a point when it's telling you where to put the minions on the level, where if you advance, you can't go back. If you forget where it went, you're done. Like, put the minions here. Great. And then you hit advance. You're like, oh, wait a minute. Where did that minion go? I don't know. We've already passed that. Which kind of matters, but kind of doesn't matter, because it's not tracking anyway, and you just put them on the map.
Yeah, I mean, just like, if you push a button, like, I hit this thing 3 times. Oh, wait, no, I didn't. I hit it twice.
Right.
Can you undo that?
So at another point in the game, one of the guys playing rolled some dice, pulled off an action, and the person with the phone just did it as if it was a straight up, you roll that many dice, you had that many successes. But one of the things he did was, I think it was enfeeble. So when he did this certain action, it enfeebled the character, and you need to put that in the phone. So when he fought it, it was just, you got 3 successes, move on. And he's like, wait, did you put in enfeeblement? No. And he went back and put it in.
Okay. Well, that's good.
So yes, you can, but not with the minis, not with the baddies.
Yeah, at certain levels. At least there's that. Like, I couldn't undo the simple little thing, and it made me mad, because I was like, if this wasn't an app, I could just, oh wait, that guy doesn't go there, physically move what it was, or take the wound tokens off, or whatever it is.
Right. Like a main part of the game you can't undo. That seems pretty shitty.
Yeah. Cool. Sounds fun.
Yep. And then we played. I didn't play my copy. My copy is still sealed, but we played somebody else's copy.
Like all your other games.
No, not all of them. Most of them. Second Chance.
Yeah.
And you know nothing of this one?
I think when you showed me the box, I think I've seen the box cover, but I didn't know anything about it. So
this is something that we can play on the show too.
Oh, cool.
Now, if we weren't 2 hours. Oh, we're only 2 hours in. We could actually play it now. It's just grid paper with a center dot, right?
Yep.
And then there are cards with
cards,
those kind of shapes on them.
Tetris-y shapes. Yep.
Yeah, a little more elaborate, right?
Some of them, yeah.
On your turn, and you do this with different color. It's a good way to track it, right? By having you draw them in different colors.
Yep.
You flip over a card, you put that piece in your map, First one has to be on this square.
So it's a rolling right kind of thing, or drawing right.
Flipping right, yeah.
Flipping right.
So you flip it, you put it in there. They don't have to be connected. You can put them anywhere on the map. You can't have, I mean, the easy way to do it is putting the same color next to each other, like just to make it look so you know the pieces, whatever. If you can't, like, let's say you flipped that card and you can't fit it.
Right.
You get a second chance. So everybody is doing this. If I flip a card over and it's that, we all draw that on the thing. If you draw that, if that's the card and you can't place it, then only you get to flip one card. If you can place that, you're still in. If not, you're out. So that's your second chance.
And then it's player elimination until someone's left.
Right. And then the winner is, but the person that's left is not always the winner.
Yeah.
Because the winner is whoever has the least amount of squares, open squares.
Gotcha.
So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I liked it.
How fast does it play? Probably 15, 20 minutes, something like
that? Depends on how bad you are at spatial reasoning. It says 15 minutes, but
it looks kind of like Gonshon Clever, the
same size box, yeah. Stronghold. They even have them on the side.
Yeah. There you go.
Which the Clever Cubed just came out. And I don't know much about it, but I'm curious about that one too.
Cool. I told the Discord what I played this weekend. Played Western Legends.
Oh, I can't wait to hear this. Yes.
I don't have anything to complain about. I played Western Legends.
Pretty sure there's going to be a rant coming.
No, there's no rant. It's a little design talk. Just a little design talk.
Sure, however you want to spin it, man.
Western Legends was fun, but we played it wrong. Because it'd been over like a year and a half since we played. We didn't really play it wrong. We scored it wrong. Okay. So during the game, you get, like when you upgrade stuff, it gives you a point or two, depending on what it is. Like if you upgrade your Mustang to some name or something, you get 2 points, right? Well, we were scoring in game those points, and the game ends when someone crosses a certain amount of points. So we rushed the game too soon because we were scoring them when you were supposed to score them at the end of the game.
Gotcha.
And we were also doing that with we play with the variant where they have little powers, not powers, but little missions, and you draw from a bag and put the token down. It's supposed to be secret, but we were scoring it right then. So we ended the game like in half the time the game normally is supposed to take.
Wow. How long was it?
What?
How long?
I think the game was probably maybe about an hour and a half.
Oh, wow.
And we were playing 4 players. So it probably should have been more like a 2.5 hour game. Well, that was an hour and a half with teaching. So it should probably have been more like a 2-hour game. But yeah, but we still had fun and stuff. But the problem with that is that in that game, you kind of go, oh, I'm going to try this path. Well, the only path that mattered was the fastest scoring path because we were playing it incorrectly, right?
Yeah.
So sure. I didn't do too well in that one. My brother won, actually, and we were playing games to celebrate his birthday a little bit. So
happy birthday to your brother.
Yeah, we do that whenever it's your birthday game night or around that or whatever. You get to choose what game gets played at your table, kind of thing.
Oh, man, you would be so screwed. Oh, totally co-op with all house rules.
I'll play co-op. Yeah, I'm not coming over to your house on your birthday then. And then after that, we played Eclipse.
Yeah.
So here's where the complaint happens. So it's not really a complaint, actually. We played that one correctly, I think. It's not a normal thing that we play things incorrectly. But anyway, we played that one correctly and stuff. The problem I had with it was that it's a space 4X game, build out your empire and stuff. The problem I had with it...
You play the new Eclipse or the original, like the first edition?
Uh, how new is the new one?
2 years.
It's probably the older one then.
Okay.
Let me see. Yeah, the 2011 Eclipse is the
Okay.
one we played. Um, I don't know if the new one's like this, but so basically, you start off in a little hex with your planets, right? And then you do explore as one of your actions, and you just draw a hex of either one, two, or three, depending on where you are. Like if you branch out, you draw from three. If you go towards the middle, you draw from one or two, right? Um, but when you draw that hex, it has like planets on there, and you instantly get to put out like, oh, okay, now I'm getting science and money resources. And then you go explore again. Oh, now I'm getting another science resource, but nothing else. And the problem with that is that I don't get to control what my empire does at all.
Yeah.
I can't. I started a game thinking, oh, I'm going to go heavy production and make a whole bunch of little tiny ships that are really cool. And they're going to be like bees all over somebody's big, massive ship. You can't control that at all you're doing is randomly drawing hexes, and whatever happens on those hexes, that's the empire you get. And if you draw awesome hexes and get all this free stuff without having to fight things, then great, you get all this free. Somebody else might draw nothing but like there's like these like guardians in certain sections that you have to battle to then use. And if you're not, you get those early on, then you're at a big disadvantage. Um, Also, the combat is so random that I lost like my whole group, and everybody at the table was like, "Wow, that should not have happened."
Hmm.
And that happens in any of these kind of things and stuff, but it just feels kind of old schoolish, old gamer schoolish. I feel like a 4X game, and I'm sure there are ones out there, but I feel like in a 4X game, when I sit down to play, I should, in my head, think, I want to have this kind of. I want to be the science people. I want to be the people that make hundreds of ships. I want to be the people that explore really fast, or like you think about the kind of empire you want to play. Like, have you ever played Masters of Orion on the computer or any kind of 4X game like that? You can pick races that have that kind of thing. And, oh, I'll be the Silence because they have big heads and they're really good at science, and I want to play that kind of game. But you can't dictate that in this game. They even do have science and different races. We played all humans, but they do have different races that have different abilities, but those abilities might not even matter if everything's just randomly thrown at you.
Right.
And that was my biggest complaint about it, was that it was everything that you got was like the growth of your empire is all random.
Hmm.
So I felt like I was just kind of experiencing the game more than playing it.
Well,
There
I
were
mean,
some fun parts to it, but
yeah, you're dealing with what the game is giving you, right? And then you're making choices based on what you
but
uncover.
but you're not. So like if it costs 5 production to build a ship, right? And you build an empire, you discover an empire is what you're really doing. You discover randomly an empire that gives you 3 production every year. You don't get to be the guy that makes a ship every year. You have to take 2 years or 2 rounds to build a ship. Where
Right.
someone else over there randomly pulled a whole bunch of stuff, they get to have 3 ships around.
Sure.
That means that those random pools decided that that empire over there gets a lot of ships and your empire doesn't.
Right. So now in order to win, you're going to have to adjust based on what the game dictates for you.
Right, which is fine, which is what you do and everybody does and stuff. But when I sit down at a 4X game, I want to decide what empire I'm building. I
Okay.
don't want to play the game that the game is handing me randomly. That's my complaint with it.
Okay.
I want to build a civilization. I don't want the game to build a civilization and say, deal with that. And that's what it was doing.
Okay.
So, and there's a certain amount of fun with dealing with what you're dealt, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But for a 4X game, I feel like I want to be in control. I've never played a 4X game that I've fully thought that's exactly what I want in a 4X game. You know,
Should play
um,
Twilight Imperium.
what?
Twilight Imperium.
Yeah, I haven't played Twilight Imperium, but and the problem is because it's a long game process, and the only time I ever see it is at a convention, and I don't want to play an entire day on one game. So,
Fair.
but I would play it if we set aside a Saturday or something like that. I'd try it. I might still have the same problem. I don't know how that plays.
Yeah, I don't think you get a lot of that random nature to it, but I see what you mean. Like the game is telling you, I mean, you need to adjust, but you still get the choice.
Like if I flipped over a tile and it said there's a planet there and it gives you +1 production, but you can build a production or a science or a money making spot there, then that's cool. That's my choice. I can go, no, I'm trying to go heavy money. I don't care about your +1 production. I'm putting money there. But because they dictate to me, here's a planet and its production, then I'm not getting to plan out what my empire is.
Hmm.
That's all I'm saying. Is like if they gave more choice to it, it would be more interesting, more fascinating.
But thematically, you go and explore.
That's good to know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You go and explore a planet. You don't know what it gives. So when you go to explore that planet, yeah, it's a production planet. Great. So I mean, even space exploration, the planets you find are random.
Right, but well, and this has always been a problem I've had with any space game. Whenever you go exploring, today we can tell you kind of what planets are like on nearby star systems
Sure.
just by where they are in the are they in the Goldilocks zone, or how big are they, possibly like what they're made out of, so
Yeah.
the radiation around the star, like there's some information we have before we ever head out to Alpha Centauri. So the fact that it's just like draw random hex, you know at this time we should have some kind of knowledge as to what's around you.
Yeah. I think you'd enjoy TI. I think I don't know what the what is it? They're on like the 42nd edition or something of the game. I don't know what it is.
Fourth, I think.
Yeah. I don't know what they've done. I know they've included some of the expansions in it. They've probably streamlined it, but I am not a 4X enthusiast. I think they're good. I think they take too long, and with the right group, I'm sure they're fine. But I had one of my, in addition to my Arkham experience, one of my most favorite experiences in board game was that Saturday where we played Twilight Imperium for 11 and a half hours. It didn't feel like 11 and a half hours. Like that whole day at full play count, all of our first experiences, the people at the table, like the stuff that happened in that game was one of my most favorite board game experiences so far.
There are some games where it almost doesn't matter the quality of the game as much as it does players.
Oh, sure.
And if you sit at the table with these people and have fun conversations and joke and stuff, like what's going on in a game, that could be fun and all, but really the fun you're having is with each other. And I mean, that's why we still play Talisman. Talisman's design wise is a horrible game, but it's also so low on thinky that we can just sit here and talk about Star Wars or whatever. It doesn't matter while we play the game. And sometimes you just want something like that, right?
It's funny you bring up Star Wars or Talisman. Did you see? I still want you to play the Star Wars edition. You can't get it. I mean, you can. You just got to get it from outside the country.
Oh,
but
wow, look at that.
Turn a week. Oh yeah, wow. Yeah, it was super fun. Again, it was one of my most favorite board game experiences was playing with that crew on that day. Like we like you said, we knew we were going to do it that Saturday. we had hunkered down for like a 6 or 7 hour experience. We didn't think it would near literally a half a day. But man, it was great. It was so much fun.
Yeah. That sounds fun.
So you brought up Talisman. Did you see the news this week?
Oh, no. What's
this
up?
weekend? Maybe end of last week. Maybe it was over the weekend. The op announced a new Talisman.
A new one?
Yeah.
Well, they did. I think it was 2018. They came out at Gen Con that had another game in the Talisman world. Is that what you're talking about? Or is it version 5 of Talisman?
No, it's another. It's like there's Thanos Rising, Star Wars Rising, or Dark Side Rising, Plankton Rising, Death Eater Rising. Like it's that kind of thing. So they have Talisman in the new edition. I know what you're talking about, Talisman Adventures or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, not that.
Okay.
It's a new Talisman, a new themed Talisman.
Oh, so like there's a Star Wars one. There's a, what was it, Kingdom Hearts one?
Kingdom Hearts, Batman.
There's a Batman one? I didn't know that.
I'm so disappointed in you.
Oh, Batman supervillains. Look at that. What? I didn't know that. That sounds fun.
Talisman's one of your favorite games, and you didn't know there was a Batman Talisman?
Yeah.
All right, well, then you definitely don't know about the new one.
What's the new one?
Harry Potter.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay. I might have to give me that one. I have to get the is the Batman one even available anymore? Probably not.
Yeah, I know Jason has it at the store.
2019. Well, that wasn't that long ago.
Nope.
I don't even see it here in BGG.
The Batman one?
Oh, the Harry Potter one.
Oh, I don't know if it's in.
Oh, there it is.
There you go.
You have to actually type in Harry. Look at that. That's pretty cool. Here, I'm going to put it up on the screen.
I was going to say, you should probably share because...
Yeah, so we could all enjoy.
Yeah. There you go.
It's not a great picture of him, actually.
Not at all.
I guess unless you're... Well, this is very much like the movie, but yeah. You could be Hagrid.
I'm good with that.
No Snape?
I'm sure there's more than 4 characters, no?
Oh, there we go. Okay. I still don't see Snape. Oh, that's Snape with the potion bottle right there, right? No, that's not Snape.
No, that's not.
That's what's his name? The
Sirius?
Caretaker or whatever.
That's not Sirius?
Thanks for zooming in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I was trying to see the board here. Yeah, they're using pictures instead of art.
Oh, there you go. Go back.
Huh?
Here.
Oh, it's Lucius Malfoy. They're using pictures instead of artwork. I wish it was artwork, but that's fine. That's just a... Oh, no Snape.
It'll probably be a Gen Con exclusive character.
Yeah, that's what them expansions are for.
Yeah. Yeah, so
there's the
maybe you knew about that. I forgot about it until you mentioned Talisman.
Huh.
Yeah.
Look at that. The more you know.
There you go.
That's kind of fun. Yeah, I might have to get that.
I mean, if you like Talisman, you like the way that the game plays. I can't see that being... I'm really curious your thoughts on the Star Wars one and how that plays. Like
Yeah, I don't know how to get a hold of it, though.
There's ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
You're right. It's one of those games where you are, and like Mike just said in the comments, there's a lot of table talk in a game like that. I mean, you can keep it to game specific, but like Talisman, you can talk about whatever you want. Oh, it's my turn, right? Roll a die, move somewhere, great.
Right. It's not the kind of game where you're like, hey guys, can you kind of like calm down? I'm trying to think about my turn. There's nothing to think about. You roll your dice,
yeah.
You draw your card, you laugh that you just got throttled, and then you move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Twilight has more of the, like, your turns matter, right? Because people are encroaching on your system and you want to get to
Right.
points before other people. I mean, there's a lot of tension in that game where Talisman is just like, can you roll my dice for me? Pick a spot. I got to go get a drink. Like, you don't really
Yeah.
care. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more an activity almost. Like you're just watching the story unfold, right?
Right.
Not a lot of choice. So,
Yeah.
and like I said, it's not a wonderfully designed game, but it's almost like the party version of a fantasy game because it's just kind of like hanging back and relaxing. There's no stress in the game, right?
And it's been around for so long. I don't know what you said you played. Like, you started with the original, not original, but second edition or the black edition.
Second edition. I
Yeah.
still have the second edition.
Is it different at all? I mean, I guess maybe the text on the cards. Maybe
Yeah, there's some rule changes. The set like the second edition was a little more harsher than the current fourth edition, but there's still some harshness to stuff. But there were more expansions in the original, although they've almost caught up. So there's a lot of expansions, but
there's like 4. It's like Arkham, right? There's 4 big box and 4 or 5 small box.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there's 4 big boxes, and 1, 2, 3, 4 small boxes, and a couple of small little plastic expansions as well.
And I assume you have everything for it, right?
Actually, there's one I don't have. The last one that they came out with. I can't remember what it is though.
It's good.
So, I need to get it before it totally goes away, since they stopped making that version of Talisman,
Right.
the Gameforge version, yeah.
Right.
Or not Gameforge.
Fantasy Flight, isn't it?
No, it's whatever is on here. Game Workshop. That's what I was trying. Yeah. But yeah. But anyway, yeah, that's what we played. Still had fun, but game wise, analyzing the game and all. I bought him for his birthday. I bought him Snallygaster Situation. Have you seen that game?
Could you spell that and use it in a sentence?
Yes, I just did. I bought him a game called The Snallygaster Situation.
Nope.
So I'm going to put this up now so that you can see this. So this is Kids on Bikes, the board game.
But yeah, I knew it as Kids on Bike. I did not know that's what it was called.
This is Renegade.
Yep.
And I bought it at Barnes & Noble, so it's out. And there's no rating. Only 23 ratings so far.
Oh, so it needs more people to hit it.
Nobody's talking about this game. Nobody's playing it. I haven't seen pictures of it other than Jonathan Gilmore, I think, at one point posted it. In fact, I asked the interwebs, Facebook, hey, anybody know anything about this? And John Gilmore answered me.
Oh, nice.
So benefits of being friended on Facebook with the designer. So, but it's funny because he answered, yeah, it's from the Kids on Bike. And I said, hey, you're not saying the designer on there, but that's funny. Everybody knows that.
He's a good.
But nobody there's not enough ratings on here to even have this. I tried to find videos of people giving their impressions, and I think these are the bought ones for was there a Kickstarter?
I don't know if it was Kickstarter.
Well, they're all previews, not.
I
don't see that it says Kickstarter though. Usually they have it on there if it's Kickstarter.
Yeah, I don't know if it was.
Kind of weird that it wasn't, because the RPG was.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But anyway, we hadn't opened it and played it. I just gave it to him as a thing. But it did sound interesting. It's basically Stranger Things, the game, right?
Sure.
One person plays a kid with special abilities who's been kidnapped by a monster. The rest of the kids are trying to find that kid, while the feds try to pick them up, or the monster tries to eat them.
Yeah.
Cooperative game.
Interesting. Yeah, but see, you bought it, you gave it, you didn't play it, so you can't rate it. I mean, you could, but you probably
Yeah.
should.
I hardly ever rate games on BGG anyway. The system doesn't really tell you much.
No.
It's not a 1 to 10 rating system because no games are 1 or no games are 10. So
That's false.
no real games are 1 and no real games are 10. Not in reality. Basically, it's between 5 and 8.5 or something like that. Where 4.5 and 8.5 is where everything hovers in, right?
Everything that you would be interested in playing and acquiring?
Well, whatever their algorithms are, I know that they throw a whole bunch of fives on stuff to even it out, and that's what happens. Is it drives everything towards the middle, and then everything hovers there. So
That to try and offset those people that hate
yeah, it's to offset the one guy who put a 1 because they didn't like that their box arrived dinged up, and it's not even the publisher's fault, right? There's a bunch of stupid stuff like that.
I
So I
told you
can see why they do it, but that unfortunately makes everything kind of hover in the middle. So it's
Did I ever tell you about the one that Cosmic Colonies got? The rating of a 1?
oh no, we used to do those. Those were fun. We did those early on, right? Where we
Yeah, I'm bringing
tried
that.
to guess
Yep.
the game based off of the 1 rating.
So someone rated Cosmic Colonies a 1 because they dislike Scott Alms, and they like their purpose was like, I will rate all of his games a 1, basically because screw him.
That's stupid.
It's dumb.
Yeah, and that doesn't help anyone. That doesn't help anyone know if that's a good game or not, right?
Nope.
But I mean, an arbitrary rating on a game doesn't tell you anything about it anyway.
Sure.
You can look at a game and it could be like a 4, and you'd be like, oh, okay, and move on. But that might be your favorite game. You'll never know.
Well, same thing with reviewers, right? I mean, that's what I appreciate from Rado. Like, don't listen to what I have to say about it. I'm talking about it from my perspective of what I like and what I like to play with Jen, and this is how we play games. But you might think something differently. Yeah, so think differently, man. Stop being a sheep and following your favorite reviewer because they like it, so you like it. Like, what do you like? Look at the gameplay. Is it do you like polyominoes? Do you like dungeon crawlers? Do you like Euros? Do you like spice trading? Like, if that's what you like, that's what you like. Don't not like it because someone else doesn't like it.
I don't think that happens as often as we think, but definitely people's thoughts on how they feel about the game could taint your expectations, right? I mean, just like my thoughts on Wonder Woman 2, probably already getting in your head. My guess is that you're going to watch Wonder Woman 2 and go, it wasn't that bad because I've lowered your expectations to where maybe you'll have a good time watching it. Because Wonder Woman 1 was so awesome for me that my expectations were higher than
Sure.
it definitely should have been, I guess.
Well, I think 2 things. One, I'm going to love it because you don't.
Good.
And 2, I try and find, and there are very rare occasions where I dislike something that much. There's always some sort of positive takeaway, or at least I try to find some sort of positive takeaway in everything, whether it's a shitty board game, a shitty series, a shitty movie, whatever it is. That was good. I like that.
You'll find some positive stuff in there. There is some positive stuff in there. The reason why I talk down on it is because I know it could have been better because 1 was so good.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Right. It hurts whenever Highlander 2 kills Highlander 1 because it's so bad. It hurts whenever you have something so good and then someone adds to it in a poor way.
Episode 7 and episode 8.
Episode 9.
Yeah.
Do you like 9 more than 7 and 8? Star Wars?
I like them all.
I like them all too, but if this will be interesting, what is your rating for favorite to least favorite? 1 through 9, not counting Rogue One, Hot, Solo, all that stuff. Just
I
the
think,
suck.
I think one of the first things you asked me, I think in one of our first episode, was like my favorite Star Wars, and I think 5. I still think 5 is my favorite. But
I think that's most people's favorite.
yeah, I
Like,
think you said that on the episode too. Like
yeah,
that
I
was
think
safe
that's the
call.
majority. Yeah,
Yeah, there are parts in all of them. Like it's hard for me to come up with a favorite because I love the whole story, right? I like 1 through 6 better than I like 7 through 9,
me
regardless of
too.
Jar Jar and how much I hate Jar Jar and all that bullshit. But the story arc from 1 to 6 of watching Anakin grow and die
Right.
is phenomenal. And the storytelling, even though Lucas kind of took it and did his thing, like, okay, fine, you screwed up, whatever. But like when we see Obi and Anakin fight, like there's so many moments that are just holy shit.
Yeah.
But 7, I liked 7. I liked that they were doing something new. They were trying to introduce new people to the series and like spark it again, right? But then 8 seemed so like I'm gonna take everything you love and I'm just gonna like not like
Yeah.
not like Wicked good, right? Like Wicked is the Wizard of Oz upside down. And it's like, wow, that's phenomenal. Like everything you thought you knew about it, I'm going to show you what really happened, right? And it's like, yeah, Elphaba wasn't bad, and look, you saw the lion and why the lion's cowardly. Like you saw all this stuff. Where 8 is just like, I'm going to do it just to be a dick,
It felt that way, right?
right?
Yeah, it was a total derailing of 7. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but there are still points and moments throughout the movie that are like, you're a Star Wars fan. It's you
Yeah.
love it. There's still an overarching problem with Finn using a lightsaber, never having held one before. Rey being so good at it all of a sudden. Like, there's a lot of things in 7 that are just like, wait a minute, no. But still, as bad as you can say they are, there's even 1 is still giving you that story, which as a Star Wars fan, that's what I'm in it for. I'm in it for the story. Whereas 4, 5, 6, I'm not in it for the special effects, right? I'm not in it for the Duel of the Fates. I'm in it because, wait a minute, Luke just kissed his sister? I don't understand what the hell's going on.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of in the same boat. It's weird because I like the story of 1, 2, and 3 more than I like 7, 8, and 9. But I like the characters of 7, 8, and 9 more than I like the characters of 1, 2, 3, excluding Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan's awesome. But Anakin, whiny bitch.
Oh,
Padme was okay, but not quite as good as Princess Leia, and not better by far. Rey's better than both of them in the end.
I would put
Um,
Padme at the bottom of the list.
I didn't dislike Padme,
Of
but
the 3 of them, of Rey and Leia,
of the 3 of them, yeah, she's at the bottom. But I didn't dislike her. But Jar Jar's Jar Jar. Um, you know, Obi-Wan was really the only character, and Qui-Gon was actually really interesting. I did like Mace Windu, but they didn't do much with him. They
mm-hmm.
do more with him in the Clone Wars, thankfully, but still not that much.
Yeah, not much.
Some a little bit more Yoda. Yoda fighting was awesome, but that's not character,
Yeah.
Like his character is in 4 and 5 too. So, or not 4, but 5 and 6 too. So, a little bit in 6. So it's weird. I think that people who are liking 7, 8, and 9 more than 1, 2, and 3, I think it's a lot more driven by characters than it is the story, because the story's all kinds of messed up, right? 7 was pretty solid, good story from beginning to end, but then of course 8 derails it, and then 9 made the mistake of trying to get back on the rails instead of going the direction of that.
Right.
And then it was
Like
just
they were just
all
having
messed
a
up.
cockfight. They were like, "I'll show
Yeah.
you." Like,
Yeah.
but I don't think. I think 7 was good, and I do. I appreciate the characters. It's a new life into this whole thing, and the cheekiness of like them running to the ship, and oh, that's a piece of junk, and then that blows up, and then it's the Falcon. Like all of that kind of stuff was like it's fun for a fan, but again, the disjointed like Ray with like it doesn't.
I
No,
saw almost said Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill, um, talking about it, and he said I was reading the script for the first time, and it said Kylo reaches for her lightsaber and it goes flying towards him, but then it turns away from him and a hand catches it. And he said, "That's where I thought I was going to read." And then Luke is there and he's caught it. And he goes, "But it's Ray." He's like, "How would Ray know how to do that? Pull it away from the Sith Lord and then use it?" What he's like, "What is this even from? This is out of the blue. This is where I should be coming in." And he's right. That would have been pretty awesome. I don't know how he would have gotten there, but put his X-wing behind him, like whatever. But
oh, yeah, I mean the story possibilities are endless. But you're right. Like we meet Kylo where he stops a friggin' blaster.
yeah,
So
tell
Ray,
you how powerful he is.
you're going to be able to pull this new Force user who's just had an awakening is going to be able to pull the lightsaber away from someone who can like basically stop. Like, come on.
And then beat him in a lightsaber battle. Yeah.
And then who? I mean, I get
Ridiculous.
technology and science in the future. That's great, but Kylo went up Finn's spine with a lightsaber.
Right. You mean like how is he still alive or what?
Like, come on. Right? Like I get if you get your limb cut off, right, the hotness of the plasma is gonna immediately like you're good. But man, up his spine like that, and then the next episode he's just like right back at it. I don't know how much time went in between, but I feel like that kind of injury, you're not getting a lightsaber poke to the shoulder, right? Like,
It looked pretty bad. Yeah.
so I don't know. There was a lot, but same thing with 1. Like, there's a lot in 1 that you're just like, no, like, what am I even watching? But man, to see all of those awesome parts, like, you kind of forget about the fact that Jar Jar is just a bumbling idiot, like. Or is he, right? Is he really a Jedi master?
No, he's not a
I'm just saying. I think what sold me on the why I think 1, 2, and 3 are good is the attention to detail because Lucas is that good. But when the Chancellor puts his hand on Anakin and says, "We'll be watching your career," that line, you got me. Anything. I don't care what it is. I'm in. That was knowing what's going on, which is funny because if you know it, watching it in reverse, you're like, oh shit, that was brilliant. But when you're watching it one through, it just becomes a line he says, like
Right.
a little bit of foreshadowing and you can guess, but man, it's like when Luke takes off Vader's helmet and you see the scar and you know
Right.
the scar is like he got his ass whooped and then we're going to see his ass whooping. Like it's that kind of moment where you're like, oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Also, I saw something funny. I never thought of it this way. You always thought of Obi like that whole I have the high ground.
Yeah.
But really, he's the master of the low ground. And by him telling Anakin that he's got the high ground, don't even try it, he's basically baiting him into trying to take the high ground, and then he cuts him down from the low ground. He did it with Grievous. He did it with there were 3 people they pointed to. It was Grievous, it was Anakin, and it was somebody, I think in the Clone Wars, in the animated. And he got them all from being lower than them. But you think of him as being this high ground master. And he basically just taunted Anakin into, like he knew he would do it because he knew Anakin was that naive and that stupid. And he's like, don't try it, I've got it. And Anakin's like, I'll show you because screw you.
I've told you I think that Obi-Wan Kenobi is way more manipulative than people give him credit. I kind of hope some of that comes out in the series.
He totally is.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why he's known as the negotiator. Like, he knows how to manipulate people and get them to do and say what they want.
But
He totally manipulates Luke.
He's also the reason for Anakin. Like, I know
Right.
the Emperor has manipulated Anakin, but the Emperor sees the weakness and hits him when he's like contemplating, like, my master is constantly putting me down and treating me like a baby. And the Chancellor's like, I see the door open, I'm going to take it. But man, Obi belittles him every chance he gets.
Yeah.
Even in the Clone Wars, like, that's even further fleshed out because he's constantly, like, all the little digs, like, you don't know, like, just calling him a child, like, it's unbelievable.
Well, there's also he's such the opposite of Qui-Gon, because Qui-Gon is the more independent, does things, by the flow. It doesn't matter if the council says this, he does what he thinks is right, kind of thing. Whereas Obi-Wan is like, council says this, we got to follow. He's more legalistic. So if Anakin had been, there's me making noise. If Anakin had been under Qui-Gon, I think they would have flowed so much more naturally together. And you can even see Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon kind of arguing about what to do in episode 1.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're not quite in the same rhythm. He's always telling them, like, you need to, be patient, just relax, things will happen and stuff. And Obi-Wan's like, no, we need to contact them and we got to do what the chancellor said. You could have been a master, but all that stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I think Anakin is more of that kind of independence too. So had he been in charge, of course, he's more mature Jedi master at the time and all that stuff. Honestly, I blame Yoda. Whenever Obi-Wan Kenobi said, I'm going to train him because blah, 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 Yoda should have said, no, if he's going to be trained, I'll train him. Because he's so much older and so much more powerful. This is important. I'm not going to give it to a 19-year-old kid who's all emotionally upset that his master just died. That's stupid.
That's a good take. Yeah.
Yoda should have said, you need a few, you just now made Jedi Knight. You need like a couple of years under your belt before we even give you a Padawan. It's just stupid that,
Would Yoda take a Padawan though at that level?
Yeah, he the last Padawan he had was Dooku that we know of.
Right.
And that was only a few years ago. He wasn't Grandmaster at the time, but he was a master still in the council.
Yeah, I guess.
And the fact that he's the prophesized one, Yoda should have taken it.
Yeah.
Or given it to Mace Windu or somebody. But Yoda definitely should have put that responsibility on his shoulders, not give it to a 19-year-old newly made Jedi Knight who still hadn't cut off his little braid. Seriously, you're going to put the most powerful balancing. It was all Yoda's fault.
Yeah.
Not to mention Yoda, like, he kept being told about stuff and he still kind of like, no, things are going to be okay. Like, throughout the whole war, he's constantly going, I sense a darkness behind this. Never did anything about it. Never went against the grain of the way things were going.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, this war is happening. I sense that the Sith Lord's behind it. Fine, do something about that. Yeah. Don't engage in the war. Don't, But instead, he didn't do anything about it. Sensed all this stuff and failed. I think all of what happened is Yoda's fault. Not to mention, he loses to Palpatine and goes, I guess I got to go in exile. No, get your ass back up there and keep fighting.
Well, I think at that point, he knew that they were defeated, right?
Who picked him up? Like Organa picked him up, right? And then he went and met Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Right.
Grab Obi-Wan, get back there. Keep going. Don't stop. There's no way Luke was better than Yoda at that point. So why would he think that Luke would grow up someday to take on all this stuff? It's
Oh,
ridiculous.
I mean, did you see Luke go through those uber powered super droids?
Right at that point. But okay, so great. So Yoda's plan is to let the Empire rule for 30 years, 35 years, whatever. It's ridiculous.
It all is the Force wills it, right? I mean, if you believe in the Force and everything happens for a reason, so this is what's supposed to happen. We need to separate the
That
twins.
doesn't mean just give up. And by the way, okay, he makes the same mistake again by giving Obi-Wan Kenobi the their only hope and say, go have him be raised by somebody. He's a baby right now. He could have taken him to Dagobah and trained him from birth like a true Jedi. Taught him to be a true Jedi. Told him the truth about his history and everything. Would have grown up and been not in turmoil about his father and all. He would have had a strict Jedi upbringing, no interruptions. It just doesn't make sense.
He wouldn't have been a whiny bitch, though.
That too. He wouldn't want to go, buy power converters or whatever,
Just complain and complain and whine and whine. Ugh.
I get the feeling that George Lucas doesn't like teenagers.
Yeah, they just complain constantly.
I think he likes younger kids and he hates teenagers. Because whenever he talks about Star Wars, he's like, it's for kids. And, little Anakin, he didn't complain, but older Anakin complained.
Yeah.
Little Anakin was like a nice kid, helped people out and all that stuff.
Yeah.
By the time he was a teenager, like,
yeah. Oh God, so awful.
I just think George Lucas doesn't like teenagers.
Yeah, that's a pretty good theory. Hypothesis.
Yeah. Guess.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if you're talking about the numbered movies, live action movies. I don't know if I mean, it gets kind of gray, right? I can pick. I loved 3 for reasons, although 3 is not a strong movie. I think 5 is great. 7 is good. I think I'm a purist and I live in the 4, 5, 6, even with the fuzzy teddy bears.
Yeah. For me, I think my ratings would be 4, 6, 5. And then 3, 1, 7, 2, 8, 9.
3, 1. Huh.
Yeah, because of the Anakin fight.
Right. No. I'm surprised that it's not 3, 7.
Oh, no, I love 1. I think 1 was great.
Yeah, so do I.
The Darth Maul fight puts it up there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I still remember watching episode 1. I was in line for a day and a half to do it. I was in a newspaper, actually. They came and to get the tickets and stuff. They interviewed a couple people and they interviewed me and totally misquoted me. Anyway.
Do you have the article?
No, I don't. Well, I might, but I don't know where it would be.
We should have that for the next episode. Or 2 episodes.
I don't think I do though.
Wow.
But anyway, they put different words in my mouth completely. Like they didn't just misquote me. They said he said this and this. I was like, I never said that. I would never.
They just house ruled your quote. That's all.
Yeah, that sucks. But anyway, yeah, I was sitting in the theater, loving every minute of it. I didn't care Jar Jar or anything. I just enjoyed being there and stuff. And then the Darth Maul character fights Qui-Gon. I was like, oh man, that was vicious. Like you never saw a Sith just be an animal. Like he didn't even have lines, right? He just went after him. There was no, aha, I'm here to kill you. He just was going to cut right through him. Didn't matter. Yeah. So that was amazing. And then the invading force in the palace It's like moving ahead, and there's one Sith Lord behind those doors, and the whole invading force goes, "We're gonna go this way,"
Yep.
and the Jedi have to stay behind to take on this guy. I was like, "Who, man?" And then whenever he does the double lightsaber, oh my god, nobody knew. They didn't show it in the trailers, the double lightsaber thing. So everybody was like, "Oh, like
Yeah.
what? That's a thing?"
Yeah.
And then the fight happens. I remember just being on the edge of my seat,
Yeah.
just the whole time. Like I don't think I breathed the entire fight.
Hmm.
It was the most amazing, and you never saw Jedi move like that before that.
Yep.
Before it was just old Obi-Wan and Vader, you know.
Very stealthily creeping around
Yeah.
a power generator. Like, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, my mind was blown. I couldn't believe it.
I think that's why the Queen's Gambit is so good in my world, is because it replicates what the hell was what were we watching in episode 1.
I got to play that game.
Storming in the palace, you have the fight, you have the Gungans and the droids. There's so much going on with all these moving pieces.
And that's the quintessential Star Wars feel that I wish I could replicate in role playing, but you can't.
Yeah, it's
because you'd have it. I actually heard of someone had, I think it was a couple, that they were DMing together, and she would take some of them over here, he would take some of them here, and they'd run together, and then they'd talk to each other about what's going on, and then combine it. So like some people are flying ships outside of the station while other people are running inside the station trying to blow it,
that's
that
cool.
kind of thing.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would love to be a part of something like that. But as the sole GM, I wouldn't take people off into another room and have the others sit there for an hour while I run what they're doing.
Right.
And and going back and forth, it just breaks things up too much. So you can't do that in the role playing game, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Not normally anyway. But Star Wars, to have something happening in the palace, then in space, and the Gungan fight, 3 different things happening all at once that you get to bounce around. That's what made it feel so epic, right? Same thing for Return of the Jedi. You got the Ewok thing, you got the space battle, and you got the Emperor's throne room.
Yep.
3 major things going all at once, feeding on each other. That's how you get that Star Wars feel.
Yeah.
And I also didn't get that with 7, 8, and 9.
9 a little bit, right? They were literally running on the outside of a cruiser.
They did it a little bit in 9. They did a little bit in 8 too. They had Finn and them while they were not fighting in space, just running the entire game. But it just didn't feel as epic. They didn't pull it off.
God, no. I don't think, Return a little bit, but I don't think there's any other part in the series that replicates 1 so well.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 1 did a great job of replicating that feeling that like Return of the Jedi had with that going on. Like Empire Strikes Back doesn't do it, really.
No.
But Star Wars kind of does a little bit, but not really. Like they cut back to Princess Leia looking at the thing while they're fighting and they jump between Darth Vader shooting people and stuff, but it's still not the same kind of thing. So, that kind of thing happening in episode 1 is why I like it more than
and
2 would be at the bottom if it wasn't set for 8 and 9.
Sure. Yeah, all right, so let's talk a little bit about Rebels, because that was probably one of the coolest moments. It kind of replicates.
Are we going to do spoilers here?
I don't know. Rebels season 2 is old enough. If you haven't seen Star Wars Rebels,
well, you just saw it, so
just saying. Like, sure, yeah. There's a spoiler.
Here's
multiple spoilers coming.
Here, we'll put that up. All right, so we're going to talk about Rebels up to season 2, the end of season 2.
Right, which I will probably
major spoilers. So don't.
I will complain. I wonder where Lance is, because I'm going to complain about something that he'd laugh at.
Oh man, you don't know how angry I was at you for saying that first.
Sure, because honestly, like,
I've been waiting a year for you to get to this point.
but that happened first in the episode, right? Like that shit's going on, and I'm just like, all right, what really? It's like the lightsaber underwater thing. I'm not gonna get past it. I don't like it. I hate it. It's stupid. It's
I,
stupid.
I don't understand how you can have an issue with something so minimal in a world where little green troll people can flip around in the air and move ships with their minds but I don't know if lightsabers will work underwater. That's your it just feels like you're grabbing onto something and hanging on for no
It
reason.
stood out to me as something to wrap my head around, so I wrap my head around it. It doesn't. It defies everything I know of watching Star Wars. I haven't read the.
Listen, I explained it to with it. I mean, within reason.
I get it. I get it. There's a little modulator that they put on the lightsaber, so it works underwater. Fine. All right, fine. There's an answer for it. But riddle me this, Mr. Strain. All of a sudden, the friggin' Inquisitors can use their lightsaber as a friggin' helicopter? Come on.
Well, okay, so you say all of a sudden, but there's never been an instance in which they needed to do that.
It just seems weird. Like, it hasn't been introduced, so sure. Just like to your point about the lightsaber being dual-sided. Awesome. I'm not going to question that. You make your lightsaber, it works. Awesome. But the one guy doing all the, like, Darth Maul flips and doing a little glide over, right? Okay, fine. I'm not saying it would put it out. It doesn't seem right to be working the same way it works, not in water.
Plasma exists underwater in real life.
But swinging a laser sword underwater seemed as if the water didn't exist and they were just on a cliff. Like,
well, I mean, if it's got no mass in it, so you really are just swinging the handle.
have you swung your hand underwater?
Yeah, but not as a Jedi. That's what I'm saying. If you can have a little green troll guy do flips and fly and move things and all this stuff, like, why is moving your hand underwater faster?
Because it was
weird to you.
Everything else they were doing was delayed, but their swinging the lightsaber was perfectly normal.
Yeah, why not?
I know they work in real life. I'm not denying the fact that they work underwater.
You're talking about how they were moving underwater.
Yes.
Yeah, force.
Sure.
So space magic.
Okay, so two questions.
Same thing for the helicopter thing.
Two space questions magic. About the Inquisitors.
All right.
Are they just force sensitive, or are they Sith?
No, they're dark side users.
So they're force sensitive.
Yeah,
because it can't be Sith.
Yeah, they use the force.
Right. Okay.
But Sith is a religion. So is Jedi.
But Sith are only two, so they can't be seventh sister if there's only two Sith ever.
Seventh sister? What do you mean?
Second sister, seventh.
There's
sister.
only two Sith because that's part of their religion.
Right.
It's not like there's some kind of magical balance of keeping only two.
Right. And I know there's a manipulation of the people betraying each other and having an apprentice when they shouldn't have an apprentice, but they're not Sith. They're just dark. Okay.
Right. That's why they're not lords or anything like that, because they're just dark side users. Same thing for Ventress. She wasn't a Sith.
Right.
Yeah. When he started taking her as his secret apprentice, she was on her way to become a Sith. But so like a Sith has to, like, just like a Jedi has a Jedi code, they have a belief system and structure and all that. Siths also have that. So if you don't believe in all that stuff, but you're just a good guy who can move rocks with your mind, you're not a Jedi, you're a Force user. Right. Or if you go around killing people using the Force, but you don't believe in all the Sith stuff, you're just a dark side user.
Okay. The helicopter thing, it just seemed out of the episode. It just seemed like all of a sudden you got these guys with these blades that can swing so fast that they can literally fly around the temple. Like, that was just...
I don't know what to tell you. I would bet that if someone who couldn't use the Force picked up that weapon, and switched on that ability, it might make them kind of lift a little bit or something. I would bet that they were using the force to kind of like adjust at that and actually move up with it. And I mean, you can use the force yourself to lift yourself.
Yeah, and they do it when they fall like 72
Yeah.
stories, and they do that. I get it.
I mean, you can lift yourself up using telekinesis. So why not do it with a little bit of aid? I felt like the Inquisitors needed that to move across versus a Jedi could probably just make themselves move across.
Yeah, I guess. I'd be okay with that over the using the lightsaber as a helicopter. Like,
Yeah, I don't think that would just work by itself.
okay, it came across as if it did. Like, in no point was the guy that was going from a pillar to pillar.
Yeah.
Using, like, whenever we see them use the force, there's some sort of, I don't know, drawing or hint or noise that they like. There's this whoosh or something that they're kind of using it at that point. And at no point did we see or hear him like using it to get farther along. It was just like, I'm going to use.
Sometimes, I mean, like we've seen the Jedi jump way farther than any being should be able to jump, and they don't do the. But like to your point, whenever they fall and they slow themselves, you hear the kind of noise. So yeah, maybe they should have just put that noise in there to make you know, like, okay, they're using the force, or
Sure.
yeah.
But from cliff to cliff or pillar to pillar, like the little hover, right? Like a flying squirrel kind of thing. Like you put, okay. That I had no problem with. When he was doing all that shit going around, it started about 45 seconds ago.
No, I think he means that it started in episode 1. If you recall, whenever Darth Maul pushed Obi-Wan Kenobi into that hole, it actually made that noise.
Yeah. So, like, we know that that's being used at that point.
Yeah.
So whenever the fifth brother, whoever it was, when we first meet him at the on Malachor, he's going pillar to pillar. I accepted that he's using that as a little bit of a glide, and he's taking himself farther along. Fine. But all of a sudden, they cut scene. They're on the Jedi Temple. The Inquisitors are kind of like stalking them, right? You know they're there. You know what's going on. And all of a sudden, the two of them are just like going past the temple, floating. Like, come on. That seemed totally out of the episode for me.
I think that was them using the Force in conjunction with what that thing could do for him.
Okay. It just seemed, it was another one of those lightsaber underwater moments. But I saw that first, which is why I mentioned it to you first. Like, what's with the lightsaber helicopter? Like, that's a little.
But you understand, like, I've been waiting. I told you to watch Clone Wars and Rebels just so you get to the end of season 2. That moment, one of the best moments in all of Star Wars, in my opinion. One of the reasons why Ahsoka's my favorite Star Wars character. And then I'm like, tell me. And you're like, I don't like the helicopter thing. I was like, I'm so upset that that's what your takeaway.
Well, I did it on purpose.
Well, you're a dick.
Of course I am. I'm surprised you even thought I would come out of the gate with holy shit, this was epic.
You just watched it like 5 minutes ago. I thought he must still be like, oh, that was awesome.
Oh, literally.
When I watched it, I rewatched it immediately again.
No, amazing. At one of the it was the Obi and Anakin moment of
exactly
that stuff. Yeah, it was phenomenal. Like, you've been seeing her getting these glimpses of is that, and then all of a sudden, like, there's that. It's just, and to bring back the voice actor of Anakin from the Clone Wars to do the scene
when the helmet gets cut and you hear the voice.
Yeah. I mean, everything about it. There were some points where I'm just like, okay, it's Star Wars lore, you take it, right? They're kind of like the whole Finn's just wielding a lightsaber. Like, how does that even happen? Oh, it's Star Wars. Fine. But man, that was unbelievable.
Yeah.
It really was
great. That's some great storytelling. That's some Filoni magic right there.
Oh yeah. I mean, you could even like Kanan blinded and all of a sudden is just like that good at everything else without his eyes. Like, I guess with his training, like you take that into consideration that like Luke with the helmet blocking the laser. Like, I get it. Like, even that wasn't like, man, sure, he's that good. He's going to do this thing. Just the helicopter lightsaber thing was like, ugh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that whole Anakin Vader thing. And I'm curious because at the end, like the end of the season, they do that cutaway, right? Where everyone's kind of character, you kind of know they're kind of ending it, right? This is what's going on. You got Ezra with the red eyes, even though it's a shimmer of the holocron, like I get that. But you see Ahsoka walking into the temple. Like it's her. But what temple is that?
Yeah, well, keep watching.
Okay. I mean, I know the answer will be revealed, but I wish I had known more of like what she was walking into to be like, oh man, that's going to be cool. I don't know what temple that is.
Yeah, you know what you're supposed to know at this point, so you didn't miss something.
I'm sure we've already seen that.
Right, but I mean, like, you're not missing something that, like, you're not getting, is what I'm saying.
What she's walking into, we haven't seen before?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. All right, good. Then I thought I was missing something.
Yeah, I don't think you're missing anything.
Okay. Good. Oh, here we go. What's Mike saying?
Propulsion and magnetic propulsion-driven flight had been a mainstay of conventional travel for millennia in the Old Republic, and now that the knowledge in hand is... What? I don't even know where that's from.
All right. What is that from? And is this about the helicopter lightsabers?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, unless he's talking about the whooshing.
Sidious designed. Okay.
Okay. I don't know where this is coming from or anything, but...
To provide a notable slowing to one's fall and increase beings with limited force empowered jumping abilities to extend their leaps. I get it, but even in that, like, I have a question. Like, you're extending your leap. So like I said, I didn't mind the pillar to pillar jumping and how he could glide to the next pillar because he obviously couldn't make it with just a jump. I get it. They were not gliding. They were flying. They were not in a downward. They weren't descending to the temple. They were literally patrolling the skies like a drone. That's where that's where my disconnection is with that specific thing. Like, what? Kind of like when Rey is pulling the lightsaber away from this Sith Lord, or Finn just is like, you hurt my friend, I'm going to take this lightsaber and fight you. Like, what? How do you not cut your leg off? You don't know what you're doing with the damn thing. Like, come on.
I mean, he did have some melee training. So...
Did he?
Yeah. I mean, you see him in the next episode fighting with that weapon. I had the weapon, that big white weapon and stuff. That's melee.
Oh, there's a time gap, though, there, right? Like, we meet him, from what I understand, he's a janitor who's thrown into clone or stormtrooper armor, is given a pistol, and sees some bad shit around him. Like, I'm
sure he was given actual training. Just like a janitor in the U.S. Army went through training school and learned how to use his weapons.
I get it. I don't see Finn in the Grand Empire. I don't see Finn doing more than like a 2-hour
Thank you, Michael. It's magic.
Sure, it's Star Wars. You take it into consideration. I get it. I get it.
Space magic.
That doesn't mean I can't rip it apart on the show.
That's fine.
Yeah,
as long as you get excited about the actual purpose of that whole episode.
Oh, everything I get excited about everything Star Wars. All the little nuances, all the little nods. I get it, but it's something like that. Like, I don't know. It stood out so much that it's like, no.
And did you see the owl?
Yeah. Yes. Multiple times through the episode.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah. What should we know what that is?
Yeah. I mean, you know, that's Ahsoka's symbol, right?
Yeah.
So like, remember the whole in Clone Wars, more spoilers for Clone Wars, but the Clone Wars where they see the father, daughter, and son, right?
Yeah.
the Force wielding off, and the owl is, remember, the daughter gives her life force over to Ahsoka to bring her back, kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
The She's the owl. So the owl is, if you recall, at the big spoilers for Clone Wars, but if you recall at the end of that, when Vader looks up, he sees the owl circling him whenever he's holding her lightsaber, and
At the ship with
yeah,
the helmets. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So it's like that element is always with her, kind of thing.
I get that. That's good. That's even better.
Yeah, so you see that owl, it's kind of like foretelling, like, oh, here she comes, stuff like that. I kind of wish they'd put an owl in the Mandalorian, actually.
Maybe they will in her series.
In her series, I hope there's something with it, just a little hint or something,
Yeah, yeah.
But
I get that he was trained. I just feel like he was in a 5-hour defensive driving course.
you talking about Finn?
Yeah, like I don't see them training their stormtroopers.
And, yeah, and using a lightsaber is a different thing than using something. I mean, totally. Not to mention, like, if you go with the actual role-playing game, Force users and lore, Force users have a connection to their kyber crystal, and they use the Force in it to be better at it and be more damaging and all that. If somebody picks up a lightsaber and uses it, like, yeah, you can cut open a tauntaun, no problem. You can use it just like, if I pick up an actual lightsaber, I know not to stick that part into my face, right? But when you start fighting with it and all, there's no weight to the blade. It's a totally different feel. I agree. Finn shouldn't have been able to be that. I think it would have been cool to see him block maybe 3 or 4 attacks and it just drop. Like that. That's all that should happen.
Well, like, he grabbed the hilt and was like, on. Like, how does he even know where the on button is on that damn thing? Like, not to mention,
he should have hit it and went like, there he goes.
Turn it on and it gets stuck in a tree. Like, there could have been a moment there where, like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I'm going to defend my friend. Like, great.
Well, what's funny is if you ever rewatch episode 4, Luke like picks up a lightsaber and goes, "What's this?" and looks right down the barrel. And Obi-Wan, like, that's a weapon. That's an awesome, Jedi weapon. He's like, huh, okay. And then he turns it on and just over there, like, you're not even watching this kid, Obi-Wan. He could have just put a hole through him, and he's the hope. What are you doing?
One of my favorite memes ever was, like, it says on the top, you're handed the most powerful weapon in the galaxy, and you immediately point it at your face. You ever see that one? It's the picture of them too. Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Michael's right. Like, in the role-playing game, it's extra hard to use them. Like, if you pick up a club, you just need a 5 to hit somebody who's next to you. But if you pick up a lightsaber, you need a 15 to hit somebody next to you. And if you fail too much, you can actually hurt yourself. So.
Yeah, I don't. And we talked about it earlier about, like, we meet Kylo and we know he's super powerful because he stops a freaking laser blast, like just stops it. So not only how does Rey even fight him, but then again, how does Finn? Like,
yeah,
like, there's moments throughout. So I think my gripe with the helicopter lightsaber is valid because we can point at stuff like that. That's like, wait a minute, there are way better things in the movie that, like, the Ahsoka, maybe not as good as the Ahsoka moment or the Anakin and Obi moments, but there's some great things in the movie. So if we can point out that Finn shouldn't be using a lightsaber, I feel okay in pointing out that how the hell are they flying around the temple with a lightsaber? Like, how is that even a thing? I get the gliding. I understand that. Fine. Like Mike pointed out, like, I get that. But, like, they were not descending to a pillar or coming from a ship. Also, I think as great as the Ahsoka Vader moment is, when Vader comes down riding his own TIE fighter, holy shit.
Yeah.
That was, like up in the seat going, "Oh, like that was amazing." He's riding his own ship, like outside on top. I'm ready to go.
Just
Like
controlling it using the force. Yeah.
oh God, it was so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. After we got done talking, I went and watched it again.
Oh,
Episode. I go back and watch it sometimes. It's just
I
amazing.
it same like the movies, right? Watching the movies again, you pick up on the little nuances, the little hints, the little stuff. I'll put in Rogue One, Solo, any of the movies anytime just to watch them. It's hard to go. I guess you can go back and watch specific episodes, but you can't really go back and watch Rebels again because it's time consuming. Even though they're 23 episodes, it's not like I can just put on the movie and enjoy it again and watch like Han and Chewie meet each other for the first time, or Lando and Han meet each other for the first time. Like I can't.
Right. I have gone back to that episode a couple of times just for that moment. Like I zoomed towards it, and I also did it with the last season of Clone Wars. Went back to the last episode of that, or last 3 episodes of that.
The Yoda episodes, or the ones that take place during?
I know the Yoda episodes too, but also the last 3 episodes of the entire season,
which is the time jump.
Yeah,
and now it's happening during. Yeah, which I text you right away. I'm like, wait a minute. This is wrong. This doesn't work. And then it was like, oh, wait, this is now in the future when shit's happening. Yeah, that was God. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I'm loving the characters. I love the storyline. I'm not surprised because it's Filoni and he's a friggin' genius. And I think at times Freddie Prinze Jr. could be, I don't know, a little better. His voice acting is not great.
Oh, yeah. I never really noticed.
You didn't even notice that Jar Jar's voice was different in the Clone Wars.
Yeah. I don't really hear voices that different as much as you do. Because you mentioned stuff about voices. I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess that's true. But
I hear voices constantly. You don't pick up on, like...
Got to keep that soundbite.
Yeah, seriously. You know, multiple times, the voice actor from the Clone Wars for Anakin has been Anakin in the Rebels. You know it's James Earl Jones as Darth Vader.
I knew that. Yeah.
Did you know that it was? Did you pick up on the Yoda difference?
No, not till you mentioned it.
So it wasn't Frank Oz, and I think he might have had an episode or two in the Clone
Wars. I had watched those so far apart from each other, though. You got to watch it like just in a row.
But immediately in the Clone Wars, you know that that's not Frank Oz.
I just didn't think about it.
Oh yeah, I was like, well, because Yoda's one of my favorites. So like, I knew it was really good. Well, same with Obi, right? He sounded like Ewan McGregor, but he's not Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, he does a good voice for him.
But when we meet Yoda, and you hear the difference in the voice, you immediately know that's Frank Oz. Like, oh man, that's so cool. Like those little Easter eggs. I love the fact that Ahsoka is the same voice actor from the Clone Wars. Like all of that stuff really goes a long way for someone who can nitpick the fact that the lightsaber is now a helicopter blade. Like I pick up on all the great shit, but
it's your choice to fixate on something instead of enjoy the moment.
It's also not perfect, which I think we can agree on. It's not perfect. So if I'm picking on the fact that they want to take the liberty in saying that a helicopter lightsaber can spin so fast that is there a different setting? Like, is it on high speed and low speed? So when they're just using it as a defense shield, it's on like cool air. And then when they want to do this, they put it on hot air. Like, what do they? Right?
It might be the same thing. They just use the force differently whenever they want to do it that way.
I guess maybe, yeah.
I think it'd be cool to see them using it like a shield, and then they kind of like jump forward real quick because they put a gust behind that, you know.
But then again, like, why don't they choke more people?
Yeah. So that was going to be my thing about Finn, is like the minute he picked up the lightsaber, he has no training to stop that.
Done.
He should have just went crushed him and been like, yeah, give me that lightsaber.
Yeah.
And then when it flung over to her, just go, no, give me the lightsaber. And that's the end of that.
it's over. I mean, you know, you don't have an 8-9, but it ends.
Vader wouldn't have suffered those fools.
No. That there's so many points in the show that I'm like something's falling off a cliff or something. Just use the fort. You used it. We've
Yeah.
seen you do it, but now you can't use it, or like just force push everybody away from you or choke the shit out of them. Like you've done this stuff before. So to me, it's like using the force takes a certain amount of energy or focus. So how could they fight and use the force? Like that takes a lot of talent, right? That's a skill that you need to be trained on. And I get that these inquisitors are hired guns and they're like whatever, but man, I don't know.
Yeah, I can tell you that the so like the Inquisitor, I can tell you that like as far as the games go, that if you have, it's really easy to block the force choke thing if you have pretty good training. Like a Sith Lord at this level won't be able to choke a Jedi Padawan usually while they're normally fighting. But if you overwhelm one of them to where they got so much going on that they don't have enough to block that choke, like Dooku did to Obi-Wan Kenobi, you can get in there, but it's just got to be that perfect moment and all that stuff, you know?
Yeah. It's a lot they
If
do.
you don't have any training,
yeah.
if you have no training, you have no way of blocking that.
How does that even, like, how? Right. So I point to the fact that we can bitch about Finn in that situation. I feel like I can bitch about lightsabers underwater.
It's different. It's different. There's an easy explanation for the things you're bitching about. And then for the thing with Finn and stuff, no one's offered a good explanation.
Okay, fair.
Talent is useless without training.
I'll concede to the fact that there's some magical addition to the lightsaber that lets it work a different way underwater. You've proven that. You said that's in the lore. There's something that they can put. Fine. I still think swinging a lightsaber underwater, like, it would be a little, it wouldn't be the same as like just cutting through air. Like the water is in your way.
Yeah, there might be some kind of force, you know, ability to move through water. Like, I mean, in D&D, there's a spell that you can cast to do that.
Sure. So, I mean, the answer you're saying is just the force. The force is letting them fly around like a helicopter. The force is letting them swing underwater. Okay. It seems like an easy out for you, but okay.
I mean, I get that I'm not saying that like you're wrong to say why is this happening, but you're also asking like this question when you should be asking all the other questions. Like, I don't understand how they're able to lift whole buildings or how they're able to stop this, or they, like, you can ask that same question about literally every other thing that they do. How does a lightsaber stop whenever light doesn't just stop on its own? It would continue, you know, like you could ask all these questions about every single thing possible.
Yeah.
It's just weird that you pick one and fixate on it when all these others have just as much explanation behind them. That's the force.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I have to find something wrong with it, I'm going to stick to that thing. And that's how I'm going to do it.
That's fine. As long as you're enjoying yourself.
It's still great, and I'm happy to be a fan. You take everything with a grain of salt because it's all just fantasy to begin with. But when you're living within that fantasy and something happens, it's like, wait a minute, what are you doing there? That's when.
And if you're happy to be a fan of the 42, please like and subscribe.
Oh, you dropped the ball on that one, though.
Did I? Oh, I hit the wrong thing. Boo. Don't like us. I'm horrible. Dislike. It's usually at the bottom I messed up because I wrote the Rebel spoilers in there when we were talking.
That's okay.
That was such a good setup, too.
Oh, so great. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to call it quits.
Yeah, cool.
3.5 hours. Feel like we got our old show mojo going.
Back to normal. Yeah, next week's going to be fun.
What are we doing next week?
It's going to be just chaos in a bottle, man.
So like every other week?
Yeah, basically. I don't know what to expect. I do know that we will have both Daryl and Katia on.
Nice.
And they will be hopefully in the same room as I am.
You're going to be reporting from somewhere different?
I am. I'm going to be on location.
Cool.
We don't know.
Okay. We'll see if it works.
Yeah, well, I feel I'm going to bring both my laptops. I know one of them is better than the other, but I don't know if we're all going to be able to fit on the same screen, but we'll all be together. We'll all be at the gathering in Niagara Falls. And there might be a couple special guests.
Awesome.
They are special in themselves, but additional special guests.
Gotcha.
So
normal guest and then special guests.
But yeah,
I see what you're saying.
Special guests.
Even more special. All right.
I don't know what to expect. It could be absolute madness. Or it'll just be on the rails in a normal time. But I figure we will play something. We'll talk about what we've been playing, and stuff like that. So it should be fun.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you are still watching, please leave a comment because I am interested to know who stuck around for 3.5 hours.
Also,
we know Michael did.
I want to know who's watching. I know. Yeah, we know Michael's still here.
Yeah, just say in the comments, I made it all the way to the end. Just curious. Who watches the full 3.5 hours? I don't know how many people do. I know a few do, but
that's good. I was gonna ask them to explain the lightsaber helicopter, but that's way better to just comment that you made it to the end.
Yeah, just say the word magic. And to let Mike know. Space magic. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Are we going to the Discord?
Yeah. I always forget to say that, don't I? We will be in our Discord if you want to talk to us. And we're always there. We're always in the Discord. So.
Of course you did. I know you did.
Yep. Michael made it all the way.
We should come up with a badge of honor that says I made it to the end.
That'd be great.
I know they do that, Space Magic. I know they do that with some Extra Life events when they do like those 24-hour things.
Mm-hmm.
There's someone, whoever's running the thing, they'll give out the stickers at certain hours. So like if you're there at hour 3, you'll get a sticker that says 3 hours or I made it 3 hours. And then if you're there at 6, you get the sticker that says 6. If you're there at 12, you get the 12.
Yeah, there's a BGG Con has a poker tournament every Friday. And if like you get a chip, different colored chip that tells you how far you made it in there.
Oh, that's cool.
All right. Well, thanks for watching.
Cool. Yeah, it was good talking to you again. I'll talk to you soon. I'll talk to you in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said